Welcome into the I-80 Boys College Football Show. As always, I'm your host, old Christian Hunt. And that old Peter Puffer over there is...
That'd be Chris Vaki. You called yourself old, though. Gotcha. You said it, not me. Christian, what's up, though, brother? How you doing? I know it's been a couple days. We just recently talked, but what's up, man? What do you know?
Man, not too much. Last week it was too damn hot. This week there was too many storms kind of sweeping through the area, so I can't really find the comfortable middle ground here in the Midwest of weather.
Well, you're going to have to lose some weight, A. B, you're going to have to touch some grass. So welcome to Nebraska. It's humid. It's hot here, bro. In the summer, you're going to be freezing your ass off in the winter. What we got going on here, though? I mean, we got a lot of people chiming in chat here. Christian, what do you got here?
We got a lot going on here. Well, we'll start off here with Children of the Corn. The Pac-12 is falling apart, and I love it. Big Ten got Oregon, Washington, UCLA, and USC. We are the premier conference now. Well, Chris, what do you think about that? No, I'll let you go ahead.
Yeah,
You're the resident Big Ten fan.
It's huge for the Big Ten, but like this whole thing, we spoke about it a little bit Wednesday, excuse me. It's coming down to the two power conferences, guys. I mean, anybody that watches college football or even follows the sport as much as me and Christian do, it's like it's this whole conference realignment thing. It's going to continue to happen. It's going to continue for the next year after this football season. It's going to continue to go on, guys. It just is. It's big. It's big for the Big Ten, but I again, like I said, at the end of the day, I really don't care what conference you play in. I personally like multiple conferences. That's just me, and you guys can tell me why I'm wrong in the chat. But Big Ten looks super strong. I think we're going to bump up to 18 teams now, Christian, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, the rich getting richer. The premier conference, I don't necessarily know about that. I mean, Oregon, Washington, UCLA, and USC are all going to a much more difficult conference. To me, it's just making it a lot more on par with the SEC, if you want to put it that way. I mean, that's some stuff we're going to kind of cover here later on in the show anyways. But, yeah, I mean, I think when you look at it, I mean, Oregon, Washington, and USC, they're all really good teams. I'm not saying UCLA isn't, but historically when we talk about football, it's been a while since they've really been relevant. I know last year they had a great year, and their quarterback last year looked pretty damn good last night, by the way.
Yeah, he did. He did. Dorian Thompson-Robinson, man, looked awesome.
But
yeah,
Christian, go ahead.
No. I mean, do you think with this? I'll ask you a question as a fan of you. Do you think these four teams make us obviously I'm a Big Ten guy, obviously I know I talk about, I'm not an idiot when it comes to who the best conference is in America. We know that, but like, do you think this even puts us kind of closer to the SEC, or, I mean, are we still leaps and bounds away as far as competing with the SEC as far as talent wise
I definitely think it puts you guys closer. I mean, again, you got to look at like what Georgia, Bama, what Georgia and Bama have done. And even if you take that away from the equation, like you look at how many championships LSU's won over the last 20 years. You look at Auburn, right? I mean, so you've got four teams right there that have all won the national championship. Ohio State has won
two
in the last
two in the 2000s. They won one.
Yeah, two in the 2000s.
14, I think.
And then I think Michigan hasn't won anything, right?
Nope.
Okay, so then to me, that all kind of plays into it, and that's all kind of a part of it. And I'm not trying to get on my soapbox about Georgia. I understand that, right? But my big thing about this is, Chris, outside of those two teams, Penn State's all right, but when the two best teams in the conference aren't winning national championships every other year, to me, that's just a hard thing, man. It's a hard sell.
Yeah, I mean, I'm on the same. I mean, the SEC to me, until somebody fucking proves me otherwise, I'm still on the boat with the SEC. I mean, you could add in Oregon. It's funny here. Name these four teams here: Oregon, Washington, UCLA, and USC. How many teams have won a national title in the last 23 years? USC won one.
One. Yeah, I was gonna say one.
I mean, we're not getting a lot of help over here as far as you want to talk about national titles. And we all know that only one team can win it every year. I'm not saying these teams aren't good. I'm not saying these teams are not going to help the Big Ten. But again, at the end of the day, the ACC has more titles than we do. So we're still sitting here battling for second place. We're going to get into this more. Very good question, by the way, Children of the Corn. It's a great question. I'm with you on a certain extent, buddy. Like I get it. I think, yeah, it looks cool from on paper, but realistically, SEC is dominated, man. I mean, until somebody knocks them off, I'm a big put your money where your mouth is. SEC still owns college football, and it has for quite a while now.
Yeah, my closing remarks on this is, Chris, it's not just about being top heavy. Because again, I mean, you have to look at, I'm going to talk about this a little more here in a bit, but even the mid-tier teams in the SEC, they're a little something different. I mean, that's why they make $60 million a year to do what they do.
Yeah, 100%.
Like, I'm not saying Vandy's going to go over to the Big Ten and win a national championship or anything crazy like that, or win a Big Ten championship. But all right, Chris, please talk about there will not be a Pac-12 anymore. Where will the last few teams go to? They may want to go to the WAC.
Yeah, no, Crypto, you make a good point. I guess just from my observation on this whole thing, I think like the Arizona is really obviously, as you probably know, that you're a smart dude. Like, that they're trying to push for the Big 12. I think Arizona State, who's a couple Oregon State's kind of an interesting team, and then Utah is also another, I think, really good team over there too. I think they're all going to push for the Big 12. I think the Pac-12 is pretty much done, dude. They're trying to do this deal with Apple TV. You keep hearing things. And again, I'm not one of these people that just believe everything I read off the internet, which a lot of people like to do. Yeah. I think they're just going to go to the Big 12. The Big 12 is still trying to stay relevant. They do have some teams, even though they're losing Texas and Oklahoma next year. You got your, Texas Techs of the world. K-State is halfway decent. TCU is still down there. I think that the Big 12 is going to be one of those conferences that still is trying to kind of pretty much here. We're losing some good teams. We're going to keep bringing people in over here. Pac-12 is going to be done, in my opinion. I don't see any way they survive. I guess the telltale side to me, guys, is, and Christian, maybe you agree, maybe you don't, is that when Colorado, who was the worst team in the Power 5 last year, look it up, leaves right away. They know, and I know their contract was up, so that makes sense. But they say, screw it. We're done. We're out of here. We're going back to the Big 12. I think a lot of those schools follow, guys. That's just me personally. I don't know this for certain. The Big 10 is very stingy. And if you guys look at the history, very stingy on who they let into the conference. By the way, they've been trying to get Notre Dame for freaking years now. And Notre Dame obviously has their own TV deal. And we could talk about Notre Dame at length about this. They got their, 4 games, Christian, they got to play in the ACC every year, or some crazy thing in their contract where they got to do what they do now. But money is such a big part of this. I think Crixus, super fan in here, dropped that in there too. And he's right about that part of it. It's a lot about money, guys. And at the end of the day, I think in a few years, this is all going to be just 2 power conferences, basically. And I don't like it from that point of view. But at the end of the day, to be the best, you got to beat the best. And here we are.
Yeah, to answer on this, Crypto, yes, we know they went to the Big 12. Arizona, Colorado, Utah, and Arizona State. It just came out, like I said, a couple hours ago. It's actually, if I'm not mistaken, they're in talks, so nothing's been solidified yet. But let's be honest, I mean, when you're in talks, when you're reading about it in the papers, it's a wrap. I mean, they're pretty much over there. So, yeah, we know. My answer to this is I actually disagree. I think the Pac-12 will stick around, but it's not going to be the Pac-12 of yore. I mean, let's be honest. Can the Pac-12 maybe renegotiate a TV deal and go poach somebody
So do they, as Crypto said, though, do they get a lot of those WAC teams? Is that who they pull in?
Well, I mean, they're probably going to pull in the Mountain West, would probably be my bet. You know what I mean? So you've got teams like Boise State, Colorado State, Fresno State, maybe Hawaii.
State, all those teams.
Yes, Hawaii. You might be able to pull some of them in with all the people you're leaving. And then if you can keep somebody... it sounds weird to say this, but if you can keep somebody like a Stanford in the conference or somebody like that, maybe you've got a shot at kind of putting this together. But I don't see down the road. I just don't see it. You know what I mean? I see the Pac-12 sticking around, but I just don't see it being like a serious, like legit thing, right? But I don't know.
Crypto, I don't know what you say, but there's only a few teams left in the Big 12. They got like 14 teams this year. I know they lose 2 next year, but they got teams. Iowa State and K-State, Kansas. I'm just saying, they got teams. I mean, that's more than the Pac-12 is going to have here, I think, shortly. I think the Pac-12 is one of those teams left on the outside looking in type of thing, Christian. You know what I mean?
Dude,
Andy Harris, I love that. Pac-4 is dangerous. God,
he's not
thanks,
wrong, bro.
No, he's not. Yeah, I guess a conference winner who wins that conference goes, whoever wins the conference automatically, like, maybe has a shot at the playoff, Christian, we got Arizona competing for Pac-12 title this year.
Exactly. Right. The only people they've got left as of right now is Cal, Oregon State, Stanford, and Washington State. So, I mean, if those are the 4 best teams in your conference, I mean, you might as well call it the WAC 12, dude.
Yeah, right. I apologize, by the way, Crypto. I thought you said the Big 12. Maybe I read it wrong. But anyway, long story short, no. The Pac-12 to me is, I guess Christian has a different thought. Maybe they incorporate a lot of these teams from the WAC or whatever the hell, Mountain West, whatever you want to call it. That's fine. Those quality teams, though, aren't the teams that we're used to hearing, the USCs, the Oregons of the world, and the Washingtons. So Oregon State, for me, if they're smart, they're looking at the Big 12 if they're smart.
Yeah, I mean, dude, this
Utah
is
included.
Yeah, Chris. I mean, you kind of said it. I mean, for me, it's kind of like everybody's taken their ball and gone home because they saw the impending storm coming on the horizon.
Exactly.
It's a wrap.
Yep.
So, well, Chris, let's kind of get into a little bit of this here. Don't worry, by the way, we'll do the call-in show probably towards the end of the show. We'll end off with that here. But first things first here, Chris. Hot take: Duke will upset Clemson this year. Chris, what are you thinking?
I'm super torn on this. Yeah. Clemson probably has one of the highest ceilings this year in college football as far as last year was a down year for Clemson, right? These guys got 2 national titles in like 3 years. These guys, we remember the Trevor Lawrence, the Deshaun Watson years. I think Dabo Swinney, some people are going to argue with me and say he's a stooge. I think he's a good coach, even though I think he's a stooge on top of that at times. Here's the big thing with me. Duke had 9-win season, Christian, last year?
Yeah.
Yeah. They got some hype, and I think they're very slept on. And I know it's Duke. Everybody thinks Duke. When you hear Duke in college, anything, it's basketball, right? Mike Krzyzewski, we get that. Like, right, anybody that follows any sort of sports knows that. But Duke isn't a team that I think should be slept on this year. I think this game is very interesting. Week 1, I'm going to throw it out there, kind of like the Nebraska-Minnesota game. Conference game right away, first week of the season. Clemson's coming off kind of a down year. They don't have DJ there. He's at Oregon State now. I think it was Kate Klubnik or whatever the hell his name is. He's the guy that's supposed to take the reins, right? Highly recruited. We could get into all that. Dabo Swinney, Clemson looks like they should win this game. Like you said, get the matchup predictor there, 85.2%. But I think Duke is very slept on here. It's just because Clemson's not going to be in full sync week 1. This is why this is so huge. This is no different than a Nebraska, Minnesota argument I make week in and week out with some of you guys in the chat. Week 1 is different. Teams aren't going to be on top of their game week 1. We all know this. Anybody that played high school ball would know this. You're a different team at the end of the year. Whether that's good or whether it's bad, we don't know. Yeah. I think Duke has an actual chance to pull this off. And it would not shock me, Christian, if Duke did win this game. Now, maybe I stand out on an island by myself right now because a lot of people just like to look, a lot of fans just want to look at like the two teams. And Clemson's been great. They're obviously been on top of the ACC for the most part the last 10 years. Okay. But this shit happens, man. And it's one of these things, dude. Mike, how do you say his last name? Elko or whatever at Duke, dude, he's done a great job, man. I think he's in his second or third year there. He's done a great job. They've been relatively competitive. I know that last year their schedule was relatively easy. They also returned 17 starters. Clemson doesn't even come close to that. So I think this game is very interesting. Do I think it happens? I don't, but I think this game is super, super close. It's at Duke. Duke has a chance here. Would it surprise me? No, actually not. I'm actually relatively high on Clemson as far as season predictions go and the end of the year, Christian. I want to hear your thoughts on this because this is one of these kind of interesting matchups that most people probably overlook, the casual college football fan, Christian. Oh, pencil in Clemson.
Yeah.
This could happen. We see it all the time, man. Go ahead.
It's the same people that are saying Bama's going to win
Mm-hmm.
12 in a row this year and win 5
Exactly.
back-to-back national titles.
I like your
You know,
voice.
I don't know.
There.
That sounded like more of a Dr. Phil there. I can't really harness that much stupidity. And I can't do it, man. I mean, and I'm from Georgia, by God, so the accents aren't too different. But Chris, here's the thing. I gotta tend to agree with you on this. I don't see this as being that much of a hot take. I mean, this isn't a super bold take here. Duke actually had a better defense last year than Tennessee did, statistically. All right, as Duke finished the year ranked 68th in total defense, and Tennessee ranked 91st. So I know you're thinking, okay, well, why does that matter? Tennessee didn't have a really good defense at all. Well, the reason why I brought up Tennessee is Kate Klubnik and the Tigers were actually played against them in their bowl game, and they only put up 14 points on Tennessee's defense.
Exactly.
Klubnik had 1 rushing touchdown, 2 interceptions, no passing touchdowns, and a 49.1 QBR.
Yeah.
My main point with all this, dude, Duke is a sneaky good team, and like you touched on, dude, they return a shit ton of production. They have a great shot, in my opinion, to upset them because they return their do-it-all quarterback last year, Riley Leonard, who led the team in both passing and
Very
rushing.
I like this guy.
Oh, yeah, dude. He had 3,700 yards and 33 touchdowns last year. They bring back their top 4 leading receivers from last year and a running back who had 8 touchdowns. The defensive side of the ball, Duke is led by a defensive-minded head coach, Mike Elko, yeah, I mean, if you know anything about college football, you kind of know where his track record, right? So he's a defensive-minded guy. Last year, Chris, they only allowed 22.1 points per game. I think they're going to be even better this year. Year 2, they only replaced 3 starters from last year on that defense. So there's guys there who've got experience. There's guys that have experience there. The D line's going to be even better. They should be able to get pressure. Linebackers, everything like that are going to be able to do what they need to do. Look, I can go on about this all day. You touched on it, Chris. If Clemson comes out of this game very, very slow, which can happen, dude.
Oh, God, yeah.
First game they're going to they're going to get socked in the mouth, dude.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. I just think that, like, college football, like their fan bases, man, I just love people's fan bases. This is why I enjoy the Husker fan base in here. Mike, by the way, big shout out to you. I saw it in the chat. Yeah, it's a big deal. I appreciate you guys tuning in. Thank you. It's really all I can say. I do appreciate it, guys. Harry, hey, what's up, y'all? Harry, what's up, big guy? Harry Leg, I love it. Guys, the big thing with me though, with this whole Clemson Duke thing, it's again, I'm gonna tie it right into Nebraska, Minnesota. I'm gonna make this easy for everybody. Is that it's the first week of the season, man. This is what I love about college football. It's kind of a lot of unknowns, Christian, right? We know at week 9 or week 10 kind of who's the top tier teams. We kind of know who's going to probably beat who on a given basis. This is what I love about college football, man. And Clemson's one of those teams this year that obviously Dabo Swinney is a proven champion. He has brought in a shit ton of talent through Clemson. And Duke is one of those teams that, yeah, they won 9 games last year. Well, everybody's defense, who the hell is Duke? They had a fluke season. I don't know. I think Duke, ACC isn't like super tough in the middle or the bottom of the conference. They got a chance here to do something, Christian. I think it's awesome. I love this about this. We talk about the Utah-Florida game, right? Week 1, that's a big one. We all know who me and Christian are super high on, but we'll leave that later on in some podcast about what we think there. But I mean, it's no different in Nebraska, Minnesota, man. Duke is right in that level of quality of team right now. They won 9 games last year. When's the last time Nebraska won 9 games? When's the last time some of these schools, have put up these kind of wins? So it's a big thing for me. I love this take, by the way. I don't know who came up with it. I love it. Maybe it was our producer, Alex. Christian, I don't know who this guy is really personally. Maybe you know him. But this hot take is super awesome. So, no, honestly, though, long story short, though, Duke's got a chance here. I think this game is super, super close. I think it comes down to the wire. It is at Duke. It's a big thing, man. I love this take, though.
Nah, dude, I agree with you. So before we move on here, I want to kind of touch back on here. we'll kind of bring it back up. It is a big deal to have Andy, Joseph, and Mike on this show. They're some of the most knowledgeable people on YouTube, so we love to see it. Also, I did my research. All I'm going to say, Crypto, is March 7th, son. We share something on that day. So I'll put it there for you.
Ooh. Yeah.
All righty. Maybe a birthday, son. All right. Chris, let's jump into a little Power 5 rankings here. Conference edition. So we're going to rank the conferences in all of college football. This is the debate that started the night off, right?
Yes.
Literally, we had Children of the Corn jumping in here saying the SEC is number 2, or probably not even number 2 in his book, right? He might put them like at number 5, right? But clearly, I want to get your take on this, Chris.
Well,
what your thoughts are. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I'm going to shock some people here, Christian. I mean, we all know this. Anybody that follows college football knows this. We all know the Sun Belt, Christian, is the number 1 team. With Georgia Southern beating Nebraska last year, they set it off. Go ahead and pull them up there. Come on.
Let's go, bro. Let's go.
There it is. Sun Belt. No, I'm fucking around, guys. This is no bullshit. SEC is the best fucking conference in America, guys. I can't believe people even say otherwise. Look at the national titles. I don't even have the stats brought in front of me. They've won like literally 18 of the last 23. It is what it is, man. Do I like it? No. But I'm also one of those people, you're going to have to knock them off to be able to take their crown here. So SEC, I don't need, Christian, you're an SEC guy. I don't even have to explain this one. Would you agree?
Yeah, dude, I totally agree with you on that. I mean, dude, listen, come on, man. We win the Natty every damn year or every other year. I mean, it's pretty much like you said. I mean, since the turn of the century, dude, come on. I mean, with the combination of Georgia, Bama, LSU, and Auburn, right, have done a shit ton for college football as far as that. And then I want you to think about this. Our mid-tier schools like Ole Miss, Auburn, Texas A&M, and Tennessee. I know Auburn and A&M, we're just looking at this from last year's standpoint, not good. But you look at what they've done since the 2000s, right? They historically are pretty good teams, right? They can go to just about any other conference and most likely be in contention to win it, right?
Yeah, no, it's not even close. It's not even close. If Alabama wasn't winning those national titles a few years ago, it was LSU. We all know this, man. I know the Ohio State man may be lurking around right now and trying to make some excuse why they should have won it. I don't care. It is what it is, man. Your record is what it says it is. You won a national title. It is what it is. I mean, let's be honest here. This is SEC hands down best conference in America. It has been for the last 2 decades. I'll put my foot in the ground there. And even though I'm not an SEC fan, I hate it, but it is what it is. Christian, you gonna kick it over to me on number 2?
Let's go, son. What do you think for number 2?
This one's tough. And this is a split between 2 and 3. I'm gonna throw them up here. I don't know how I'm going to say the Big Ten, and this is going to piss the ACC off, and it's so split. So 2-3, you can do them both. Clemson's got last 10 years, the ACC has more national titles than the Big Ten. I would agree with that. It's that Clemson team. That Clemson team's awesome. You could talk about 2014, Florida State. I'm pretty much hanging my hat on the Ohio State man, though. Playing Georgia tough last year. Michigan making it. But Michigan hasn't done shit either. So it as far as like the playoff goes, it just sucks, man. Big Ten though, I think overall because of Penn State is that's the kicker for me to put them at the top. Now I know the ACC man is going to be all over my ass right now about Florida State and Clemson, and I'm not knocking those Clemson teams. The Trevor Lawrence team, the Deshaun Watson team, those teams were awesome, 100%. They knocked off the SEC schools. So. Especially Bama. So I'm not knocking that. It's like a split with me on the 2-3, Christian. What do you think here? Give me your thoughts. What who would you put 2? Maybe you got a better answer than I do on this 2-3 split.
No, did you already say number 3? Sorry, I was trying to keep up here
ACC, and I think you could split ACC. 2 and 3. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean so this is kind of the notes I put on it. I put them there. I put the Big Ten in the number 2 spot only because And it's just with the lack of titles there. I mean, they always have a team that makes it into the playoffs, right? Man, it's just tough for me. It's really tough for me to put them ahead of the SEC at this point. I mean, they are well rounded though, because I mean the middle tier teams have been Penn State, Wisconsin, Iowa, Michigan State, right? Um, so to me, yeah, I'd say you got to go with the Big Ten. That I agree with you at number 3, the ACC, right? On the playoff side of things, Clemson has won a couple of
Yes.
natties and
Right.
competed with Bama and LSU for other titles. They didn't win them.
Yep.
But outside of them, and FSU did make it to the playoffs one time. I think it was in the inaugural season, right? And they won a national championship, with or Jimbo, right? They haven't had really any other team that's really done anything of national relevance. I mean, FSU most likely is going to have a great shot at the playoffs this year. They're going to be a much better team. But outside of FSU and Clemson, right? The teams that you're left with are Pitt, UNC, NC State, and Wake Forest, pretty much holding that conference up.
Yeah. 100%. Yeah.
So I can't put them over the Big Ten, And this isn't obviously calculated with the new teams jumping or anything like that. This was more of a historical sort of going into this year type of thing.
Yeah, and I just dropped in the chat and pissed some people off, but it's like,
Yeah.
I mean, if we're talking about lifetime, okay, but teams have jumped. So you want me to put
Yeah.
the Big 12 there when Nebraska, or the Big 8? Okay,
Yeah.
I mean, we're talking old school stuff here. I mean, this isn't a Nebraska channel, so I can't sit here and tell everybody what they already know about Nebraska. But I mean, long story short, though, it's like lately, Big Ten and ACC aren't the SEC. I don't know what. To me, it's very self-explanatory who's been dominating, especially I'm going to say in the 2000s, Christian. Let's just be honest. The Big Ten and ACC have kind of battled it out for that number 2 spot. And ACC does have the couple titles with Clemson, and even 2014 FSU, I believe it was, with Jameis Winston. That team's one of the historically great offenses ever under Jimbo Fisher. So I don't know how we knock that. I mean, Ohio State has had some good years. The I think it's the 02 Ohio State team, and I can't remember the other one they won. What year exactly? It was right in the 20 whatever it was. But like they're at the end of the day, I mean, so 4. You want me to move on to 4 here? I mean, I just
Before you do that, I'm going to say this though. Yeah, I mean, listen, I'm more of a. I think when we did this, we're looking at this more of like the playoff era, and maybe just a little bit before that, right?
BCS,
this, I'm not looking back all the way to the 1900s. I know, hey, we've got some people, that are, all age ranges in here. We've got people that watch us that are 14 years old, and we've got people that watch us that are 73 years old, right? So we're just trying to kind of look at the playoff era. It's kind of like saying, hey, back in high school, I could throw a ball 70 yards down the field, but now I've got a large beer gut, and I could probably run a 6 flat 40. You know what I mean? Nobody gives a shit about that.
I'm one of these people that, what have you done for me lately, I guess. I mean, if we want to talk about historic shit, yeah, that's great. But I'm talking about the last 20 years, man, personally. That's just me. Like, I mean, let's be honest. It is what it is. You got to accept defeat when it's there. And the SEC has dominated the shit out of college football. I mean, you can go to any YouTube channel and watch that. Anybody that knows anything about college football knows that. I'm not talking about historic greats. If we were going to say that, we probably would have put that, hey, best conference ever. Well, that's funny because a lot of teams switched since then. So I mean, we're not going to say the Big Ten is crazy good back in the 80s either. So anyway, go ahead, Christian.
All right. You want me to go ahead and take over number 4 here?
Yeah.
All right. Number 4, I've got the Pac-12, which will be the Pac-4 after this year, but let's not dilly-dally with it. Look, I put the Pac-12 here because, Chris, they've actually had a team in the playoffs twice, okay? Yep. They've had 2 teams in the playoffs, Washington and Oregon, and they have just as many playoff wins as the Big 12.
Yeah, I know.
Right? Obviously, all the hype is on USC and Heisman Trophy, winner Caleb Williams, but also, Chris, let's not forget about they're not as top heavy as the Big 12, right? Either because you bring in teams like Washington, Oregon, Utah, and Oregon State, who could all be a really tough matchup, I think, no matter who they play. I mean, it's going to be a tough matchup no matter what. I mean, Chris, what do you think?
Oh, I agree. I mean, I this one's tough for me because it's like the Pac-12. They've had a few teams, right? We think about what is 04, 05 USC teams with Reggie Bush and Matt Leinart and those guys. They were amazing. I mean, that team was crazy, crazy good. Here's my thing though. The Big 12, which is going to be my 5th team, Christian, you can pin them up there.
Yep.
Hasn't done anything. You want to talk about Texas? The last time they won a title was the Vince Young. That was it. That was the one of the craziest title games. One of the best. Probably my favorite title game I ever watched against USC, and they knocked them out. That USC team was probably better on paper, but it was all Vince Young. I talk about it a lot on this show. If you guys don't follow, but like since then, really, what the hell have they done? And I'm talking the last 20 years. Nebraska, you can talk about 01 Nebraska. Got destroyed by one of the best teams ever assembled in 01 Miami. We even lost to Colorado the game before that. So I don't know. The Big 12 is just, it sucks. And everybody's going to say, well, TCU last year. Right. And that was what TCU's greatest season ever. The upset against Michigan was awesome. I was rooting for the underdog in that game. It was amazing. But they didn't win the Big 12 either. So it's Big 12 is in a weird spot. And that's why Oklahoma, in my opinion, and Texas are also jumping to the SEC. We talk about conference realignment. This is where it's at, man. Teams are moving all over the place. It is what it is, man. The Big 12 just in a bad spot. The Big 12 is kind of that, I think, that outside team looking in when it comes to the SEC and the Big 10 when it comes to overall, at the end of the day, Christian, I know we're not talking about conference realignment here, but we're talking about conferences. It's going to be 2 massive freaking conferences. That's why all these teams, the Pac-12 is down to about 6 teams. I mean, there's nobody left anymore. And if, I'm just reading chat here. I think it's kind of funny that a lot of people, want to talk about the past. Well, I don't live in the past anymore. So that's great. But here we are, right? I mean, over the last 20, 30 years, SEC has dominated, man. I don't know what else to tell you. The Big Ten has been really relevant with Ohio State. Michigan is kind of putting them on the map as well, but Michigan hasn't won a goddamn playoff game either. ACC, Clemson's knocked it out a couple years against some crazy good Bama teams, right, Christian? You know this. I mean, Pac-12 is still in there with USC, but they're no longer going to be there. A lot of moving parts in this whole thing, guys. Just take it for what it is.
Yeah, I mean, Chris, you're absolutely right. I mean, and you touched on it, dude. I mean, you said it beautifully, right? Outside of TCU's win last year against Michigan, the Big 12 hasn't won a playoff game. I mean, Oklahoma's made it to the playoffs a ton of times, but they just haven't won anything yet, like in the playoffs.
Yeah,
I'm putting them here because they're not as top heavy to me. Or sorry, the Big 12 is more top heavy to me, in my opinion, than the Pac-12. I mean, they've got, the Pac-12 we just touched on, they have 4 or 5 really solid teams. And Chris, the one thing that we talk about a lot on the show is the Big 12. We don't know who's going to win that conference. I mean, every year you say, okay, it can be Texas, it can be Oklahoma.
Baylor.
And then this year, we might say TCU, right? It wouldn't shock anybody. Well, it would shock the hell out of some people, but it wouldn't shock us probably if Texas Tech came out of nowhere and won the conference, or Kansas State came out of nowhere and won the conference.
Yeah.
Right?
No, yeah.
I am really high on Texas and TCU, and I believe Oklahoma and Baylor, they're going to be much better this year. It's kind of a question that's kind of getting thrown around there. I think they're going to be better. Again, it's one of those things, though. I'll kind of touch on that here. We'll kind of end this segment. But, Chris, what do you think about Oklahoma this year?
I like crypto. That's why I wanted to touch on that one. I think Oklahoma is going to be much more improved. I see a 9-3. Dare I say, I'm going to shock the world, I guess, maybe with a 10-2 season. I think Oklahoma's going to be great. They have to be great because they're going to the SEC next year. And I just talked about how good the SEC is week in and week out. Big 12 to me isn't great week in and week out. And I think Oklahoma has a chance. I like Brett Venables. I went to their game last year against Nebraska. I was there. Nebraska scored the first touchdown. I was going ape shit in front of a bunch of Oklahoma fans, and they humbled my ass pretty quickly when he rattled off about 50 straight points against us. No, I love Oklahoma. I respect the shit out of their fans. I respect the shit out of that program. Oklahoma, I do. I want to believe in Brett Venables, man. I think he's a great defensive mind. That's a problem, though. They got to get their defense in check. Crypto, I'm sure you would agree with me. I mean, they need to. I think they're going to have a good team offensively this year. If they could pull out that win against Texas, in the in the Red River or the shootout game. I think they have a really good chance to do something this year. Christian, I know you. Christian, you're high on Oklahoma too this year. I think they're going to be great.
Yeah, I mean, exactly like you said, dude. I mean, I think Brent Venables, defensive-minded guy. We talk about this all the time. Whenever you get a coach in his second year, that's where you see the biggest growth for them. I think they're going to be much better this year on defense. They've got some talent at the wide receiver position. I want to see that obviously develop and get on par there with Dylan Gabriel. I want to say they've recruited this kid. It was I think he was one of the best quarterbacks out of his class. I can't remember his name off the top of my head. Their backup. But if Gabriel struggles or he gets hurt this year, they've got an option to go to. I think Oklahoma will be much better this year. I think they're really gonna push for, they might push Texas, dude. I don't think that this year they're going to get blown out. And I understand that, hey, some of the better players didn't play in that game because they were hurt, whatever have you, and they lost 49-0. They might play spoiler to Texas this year.
Oklahoma's they're a team that we don't talk near enough about because they're one of those very intriguing teams. I think Texas Tech is a kind of a team like that too. They got a ton of talent coming back. I think they got both good coaches. Like, I think Oklahoma's one of those teams that could really shock the world at the end of the year and be like, damn, I didn't see, Oklahoma going 10-2 and competing in a Big 12 title game. I like Brent Venables. I do. I love him. I think he's awesome. Dylan Gabriel's been around the block. Forever now, Christian. I don't know how many years he's been playing, but he's been around. He looked really good when I watched him play, obviously, but everybody looks good against Nebraska when I go to a game. So that's irrelevant. But I mean, it's one of those things though. Oklahoma is one of those teams this year. Here's the thing with me though, Crypto, if you're listening, buddy, they have to be really good this year because they're going to the SEC. And it's like, I want them to be very relevant in the SEC. Trust me, guys. I'm not sitting here being an SEC fan because I want to be. I accept reality, and I want other schools to come in there and compete. I thought maybe back in the day when Missouri jumped over there and A&M, I'm like, God, can one of these teams like actually knock off some of these, big time schools? And when Johnny Manziel knocked off Alabama, dude, I was running up and down the block halfway naked. I was super pumped. I mean, so I want what you guys want. I just think it's good for college football. If Oklahoma's great, it makes college football great. Oklahoma is a staple team. I know this as a Nebraska fan. Some of you guys think I'm not even over 30. That's crazy. I probably forgotten more football than you guys know. No offense. Like, trust me, I get it, but it's like, it's one of those things, Christian. Oklahoma, I want them to be good. It's good for college football. They were one of the greatest fan bases I think Nebraska ever had to face back in the 80s and the 90s. And I miss all those days. I do. Trust me. I even if I was younger, I'm not a dummy. I want Oklahoma to be good this year. I just think Brent Venables, was it year 2 with him? He's got to get that defense together. That's their biggest question mark. Last year, their defense was shit after the Nebraska game. If they can get that together, I think they absolutely have a chance to play with Texas. And I think a lot of people are super high on K-State. I'm not, but I mean, TCU's still in that mix, obviously what they did last year. And we all know about Texas Tech. Everybody's riding the hype train. I think they will be really good this year, but Oklahoma has a chance, Christian. Go ahead, man. I had to rattle on there.
No, dude, you're all good. Listen, I'm with you, man. I think that Oklahoma being good is good for college football. I think they're going to be, again, let me pull up here one thing. I do think they're going to be much better than last year. I know we kind of touched on that a little bit. I mean, dude, they were 6-7 last year. I mean, easily I can see them being a 9-10 win team this year.
100%.
Easily. So let's take a look at this. And, I'll just say this. If you want to look at historical facts, then we should put Yale and Harvard in as some of the most dominant teams. So we should really put
Minnesota?
we should put Minnesota. We should put the Ivy League probably ahead of the SEC then.
Yeah, it's sad, Huskers, man. What's up, man? You're a Husker fan, bro. We're talking about last 20 years, man. I know you're obviously a Husker fan, bro. It just makes me sad that we're talking the last 20 years, man. I mean, reality's reality, bro. I mean, I know where we stand. I don't mean to sit here and talk about the Huskers because this is the Husker podcast. If you want to do that, jump on the Sports Nightly. But I mean, we're trying to be relevant here, and I'm probably the biggest fucking idiot in America on the internet about the Huskers, man. I really am. But
dude, I
know reality.
That's me because I keep saying they're gonna win the the Big Ten West.
On them I am this year, so I'm accepting reality, and it's okay, man. I knew that Nebraska isn't going to win 3 out of 4 every year, and I don't think the Huskers are a bad team. It's just reality is the SEC is just so much better than everybody lately. It's very evident, you know, and I hate to say that. I don't like saying it, but I'm going to accept the truth. I think that some of these other guys in the chat understand. Children of the Corn's like, yeah, no, it is what it is, man. So I like I said, I want somebody to knock them off, but in order to do that, you got to do it, you know, prove it on the field. And Georgia's obviously pretty much the new Alabama right now until LSU comes knocking on the door. But hey, wait, that's another SEC school. So I'm hoping the Clemsons of the world, USC's, the Texases, the Oklahomas, Michigan, Ohio State. I can't believe I'm sticking up for Ohio State. You know, Christian, I mean, you know how much I love the Ohio State, man. It's one of those things, man. It's tough, but it is what it is, guys. So, I mean, it's I don't know. I don't know where to go with this, guys. I know I piss a lot of people off, but it's like this conference thing is always a tough topic to talk about. Trust me, I get it. But at the end of the day, I have to admit the SEC has just been running college football. It just has. I mean, all you got to do is look at the past 20 national titles and where they're coming from. It's like, well, these guys aren't winning by flukes. They're not winning by cheating. They're better freaking schools down there.
We're just looking at a sample size, man. I mean, that's the thing. I'm going to say this, and we're going to move on. I mean, listen, that's great that the Big Ten has won more national championships than the SEC, right? But by that logic, you know, we should put Nebraska as a number 5 team in the country because of the 90s. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, we should just discount everything that's just happened since the turn of the decade and just make them, you know, crown them. As they said, if you want to crown them, then crown their ass, right?
Yeah.
We're not pissed off about it. I mean, it's just one of those things where we kind of laid the guidelines. We're talking about 20 years, and we're trying to say we should look at it historically, right?
Yeah.
So
if we did a historical thing, but how do you do a historical thing, Christian? We were in the Big 8, we were the Big 12, now we're in the Big 10. Like, how would you ever break that down? How do you break that down with Notre Dame? How do you break that down with some of these other schools? You know, it's like that. And then how do you break that down with teams that still stuck in their conference, but a bunch of schools leave and go to, a different conference? Like that's so hard to do. You know, do I think Nebraska, if you really want my honest opinion, how do you think Nebraska rates all time as one of the greatest college football programs ever? Top 5, 100%.
Yeah.
If you want to do that. Yeah, absolutely. Problem is we haven't done anything in the last 20 years, and most 20-year-olds or younger than I am don't know Nebraska any other way. Man, I have to get in this. It's kind of funny because I get in the same fight with a lot of people on a daily basis about Nebraska, and it's like younger people don't remember Nebraska being Nebraska like you would, and Christian would, or any of these other people. We haven't been relevant, man. It's okay. It's okay to say it. It is what it is.
It's nothing but love here, man. Like I said, we're not.
Yeah, I'm not knocking anybody. No,
we just are drinking some beers, talking some football, man. This is what makes it great, right? This is why we're not just two guys on here keeping it clean cut. We're talking a little bit of shit, going back and forth, mixing it up. We get different perspectives.
Yep.
All right, so Chris, a little Texas Longhorns preview. Woo. Right? We segue gears from everything we've just been talking about. Yep. What do you think about the Longhorns this year?
I'll bring up the stats like I'd always do, right? Last year, 8-5, 6-3 in conference. Ended up cracking the top 25 in the AP poll, or the AP poll. Jesus. 34.5 points a game. Not bad numbers, right? I think I finished top 25 last year in points per game. They gave up 21.6 points per game. That finished in the top 30. You would think that record would probably be a little bit better than 8-5 overall. They had the number 1 strength of schedule last year. A lot of that had to do with the Bama game, playing that non-con game. They played again this year, by the way, guys. That game is going to be super hyped up. I'll give my thoughts on that later in the season. Lost in Alamo Bowl to Washington. Daniel, if he's on, which I don't think he is tonight, sucks because he'd be toasting up a beer like you just did there, Christian.
Yeah, right.
He's a big Washington boy. But Texas is a very interesting team, guys. We talked about it a little bit a couple pods ago about Texas, the potential this year, the hype. They're favored by far in Vegas to win the Big 12 this year. We say it a lot on this show. You could throw a dart at a dartboard as far as the Big 12 goes. Nobody ever predicted TCU winning it last year. We thought they were going to be good. We didn't think they were going to be great. They ended up being great. Didn't even win the Big 12, though, Christian. K-State did. And they still found themselves against Michigan and whooped their ass in the playoffs. So, and then got a I don't even know what you want to call the national title game. Pretty much school. I could say a couple other words here, but pretty much school drug across the field with Georgia last year. But Christian, dig a little deeper here. I know you're going to do what you do. Give me the stats. Give me the deep stats here. Why Texas may be the team this year.
All right, Chris. Listen, I know a lot of people on this show, they're probably not very fond of Texas. But I'm going to say this. They're coming off an 8-5 season last year. Steve Sarkisian, it was his second year. Good news is they're getting a healthy Quinn Ewers back. Now, he was banged up at certain points of last year.
Boy.
He had games where he really flashed, what he can do, and I thought he looked pretty good. Chris, they returned 9 starters on offense, including all 5 starting offensive linemen.
Super impressive.
From last year.
Yep.
The biggest loss on offense is definitely Bijan Robinson, man. He's out there.
Falcons.
He plays for the Falcons, son. Probably going to take either him or maybe, I don't know, man. I might end up taking Dorian Thompson-Robinson, number 1 overall this year.
Oh,
I don't know what we're going to do in fantasy.
Okay.
But that's okay, dude.
Like that.
Hey, man, I've got to, man. I might take a kicker, number 1 overall. You don't know.
Yeah,
I'm a wild card.
Like you're that type of guy, though.
Chris, listen. Steve Sarkisian, they've kind of touched on this. They're going to look to really dial it up this year. They're probably not going to run the ball as much as they have in years past. From what I could see, they're going to try to probably platoon this out. They've got some talent there at the running back position, and they're going to try to replicate that production that Bijan left behind. Chris, we put a poll up, about who had one of the best wide receiver rooms in America. And Texas was on there. I think they ended up finishing, second or third, obviously, but they have one of the best wide receiver rooms in all of America. All right, they're going to bring back their top 2 receivers from last year, Xavier Worthy and Jordan Whittington. They also bring in UGA transfer A.D. Mitchell. Dude is fast. He made some plays. He's caught some touchdowns, and he can do it again at this level, I'm pretty sure. They also bring in true freshman 5-star Jonte Cooks, who was one of the best receivers in his class. They've got, I think, a very talented trio of true freshman wide receivers they brought in that class. And dude, it's they're going to tear some people up this year in the passing game, right? Chris, the biggest question mark is on the defensive side of the ball.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
And can Texas get better than they were last year on defense? What do you think, bud?
You talked about the studs. You talked about the guys returning. I already had that wrote down, but I think, it's the defense. But can Steve Sarkisian in his 3rd year, Christian, get this done? He's 13-12 overall as a head coach of Texas. There's a lot of pressure this year, I think, because Vegas obviously made them favorites by a landslide. By the way, if nobody's looked, I don't know if anybody bets. I do. It's going to be tough. It's going to be a tough road. And we all talk about this Alabama game super early, which is crazy, guys. I'm waiting. I'm not going to talk about it in this podcast what my prediction is over that game. But the defense also, Christian, though, last year led the nation in quarterback pressures. They have talent. They got people that can do some things there. But if their defense can become, I don't even say great. They don't have to be great. They have to be good. Bend don't break, right? We talk about that a lot. Yep. We talk about the Huskers a lot. We talk about Georgia, in an Ohio State game, held them a shit ton of field goals. It's one of those things where if Texas in those big games, we know the offense is going to be great. We know Quinn Ewers, he reclassed. This guy's, I think it was the best rated quarterback or second best quarterback a couple years ago. Reclassed. This guy's a stud. We all know he's great. His backup's even, I honestly think his backup is probably the best backup in the country. And then, Christian, don't they have that other kid, that Manning kid? You know his name.
Come on, son.
Yeah, I know, right?
We're not working at Tops here. I'm not buying the kids. I'm not buying the kids' cards just yet.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, right. That was a joke, but you took it relatively well. No, we all know that Texas offense can be great. They return one of the best wide receiver rooms. We know this. Bijan Robinson's gone, who I love a lot. Plays for your Falcons now. It's unfortunate for him. He'll never be shit there. But long story short, guys, they're going to be great on offense. Defense is the biggest question mark. I think Steve Sarkisian in big games, though, he's got to get shit together. So the play calling at times, I watch Texas a lot just because I'm over here in Nebraska. We get a lot of Texas games for some odd reason. They got to get together on the defensive side of the ball. He's got to be better in crucial situations as far as play calling goes. I think I like Sark. I like him a lot. I think he's a good coach. This is the year though, because they are just so hyped up. You look at any goddamn top 25 lineup right now on any website. Everybody has them 10-2, 11-1. You know, competing for the Big 12 title. Christian, you know this.
Oh yeah,
you bet too. You know this. Vegas has them favored in 11 games. I mean, the only one they're not favored is the Bama game, and it's like a half a point right now. So, like, if Vegas is usually not wrong when it comes to shit like this, they're pretty close. That's why they keep building more casinos. It's very interesting to me what Texas does this year. I think Texas is going to have a great year. I think I have them sitting. Shit, I took their helmet down here so you guys can all see them. But I think I have them like 6th right now in my preseason or 7th. They're going to be great this year. Oklahoma is the only team. Crypto, this ought to make you happy, buddy, if you're still in. This ought to make you happy, man. Oklahoma is the one team to me, other than Texas Tech, that can compete for this Big 12 title this year. Those two teams, to me, have a chance to do something crazy. I think Oklahoma actually should be better than Tech, but this comes down to the end of the year, and we don't know much right now. I'm going off the top of my head here as far as Texas returning starters, all this stuff. Texas is going to be hyped on, man. We've talked about them a lot. Christian, go ahead. I know you want to talk, buddy. What do you got, man?
Dude, you're absolutely right. I mean, the Big 12 every year comes down to, number one, who can play the most consistent, and number two, who can actually play somewhat defense, right?
Yeah. Big 12 Big 12 in a nutshell.
Yeah. I mean, that's pretty much what it is. If you can play, if you can probably place inside of the top 30 or 40 in defense, you got a good shot at winning the Big 12. Chris, here's the thing, and we talk about this on defense, right? They're going to bring back 6 starters, all right, on the defense, and you touched on it, right, that led the nation last year in quarterback pressures. They bring back just about all that defensive line, which is amazing, dude. That's going to go a long way, all right? They also have, to me, they've got one of the best linebackers in the country. And Jalen Ford, he had 119 tackles last year and 4 interceptions. That's ridiculous, dude. They also get back nickelback Jade Baron, hopefully I'm pronouncing that right, who had 11.5 tackles for loss last year and 2 interceptions. They're also going to get back their safety Jaren Thompson, who had 82 tackles, 7 pass deflections, and 1 interception, as well as a starting cornerback Ryan Watts, who looked decent last year. Chris, the biggest thing to me is how is those other 2 backers going to step up and the other safety spot and the other corner? Now, if they can continue being dominant, up front on the front 7, I'm not worried about the back half and the secondary. I'm not worried about that, right? I think overall the front 7 will be good enough to keep the pressure off of that secondary, and I think it's going to be a much more stingy defense this year, right? Like I said, dude, I think that's going to be a very positive thing for them going forward.
Yeah, no, you said it perfectly. Like I said, I think the Big 12, I think somebody dropped in the chat. I just caught part of it. There's so much shit going on. But if the Big 12 isn't known for their defenses, obviously we're talking 20 years now, they're not. But the reality is, if Texas is not a bad team. I mean, when you look at them as far as on paper, and I know that's all we really have to go off of right now as far as this season goes, Christian, but their offense is going to put up points. I'm not worried about them. They're going to put up more than 34 points a game what they did last year. I know that. The problem is, like you said, on the defensive side of the ball, if you can hold teams to 25 or less, especially the Big 12, they compete for the Big 12 title this year. They win it. They're going to have a chance at that playoff spot. Maybe they get lucky. We thought that about Ohio State last year, right? I mean, they almost knocked off your Georgia guys. We know that, but it's TCU did some crazy shit. That was probably one of the biggest, probably the playoff era is probably the biggest Big 12's biggest win ever. I mean, it really was. I mean, Michigan was big time favorite in that game. I lost some money. I just think that overall Texas has got a chance this year. We all get enamored with Quinn Ewers, and I think he's a great quarterback. I do. I'm not worried about Steve Sarkisian actually as a head coach, but it's the play calling in crucial times. They're going to have some crucial games this year. They got Tech, they got Bama, they got Baylor, some of these other teams that just, I think they even got K-State, everybody's really high in K-State this year. It's crazy to me. Who won the Big 12 last year. Like a lot of people don't even know that. Everybody forgets about, K-State last year because TCU ended up winning the game in the playoffs. So you guys never know, man. It's going to be crazy this year. Oklahoma is, again, another team. I'm really high with them with crypto. I love OU this year. So, like, the Big 12 is a very big crapshoot. Texas should be. This is one of these years where you kind of know, like, Texas should be really, really good. We've been saying that for years. If it doesn't get done this year, I think Steve Sarkisian finds himself on a hot seat pretty quickly if they're not winning this thing. I honestly think that. I know that maybe be a hot take for a future segment, but he's got to get it done, especially with the talented returning offensive side of the ball.
Oh, yeah, dude. I'm assuming, and I'll say this real quick, too, before we jump over, but, as far as who had 12,243 yards rushing, assuming that's a Mr. Marcus Allen. That's probably a callback to the last one. I'm just guessing. Right?
Yeah.
Just guessing here. All right. Hopefully I'm right. All right, Chris. You ready to get into their record prediction here and piss some people off?
Yeah, I'm on it. 11-1. I'm leaving it at that. My only loss with Texas this year, and it's not Alabama. Holy shit, Christian. It's not. I think Texas beats Bama at Bama this year. That sounds fucking insane. I can't wait to see all that when this thing gets posted to YouTube. But the Bama man is going to tell me what a degenerate I am and don't know anything. I think they lose one of these games either to Oklahoma. I think K-State is obviously a potential threat. Iowa State, people sleep on them. I know they got a bunch of problems right now going on internally with that program. And then Texas Tech at Tech. That is always a tough game between those two schools. I think they lose one of those. I'm making it super simple, super sweet for you, Christian. Tell me why the hell I'm wrong.
Man, I'm going to piss off everybody probably with this, Chris.
Oh, boy.
12-0. 12-0.
Damn.
Yeah. I don't listen, dude. I mean, here's the thing. I got them beating Bama.
Oh, holy shit.
Right? So you look at that. Okay, they should beat Rice. They're gonna, they should beat, or I think they're gonna beat Bama, Wyoming, Baylor, Kansas. I mean, we're kind of just going down this schedule, and I know I'm just talking about it. Like you said, dude, they're favored to win all these games. If the defense improves, and if Quinn Ewers stays healthy, hell, even if he doesn't stay healthy, right? And they have to turn to Malik Murphy. Dude, Malik Murphy is a very capable number 2.
That guy's a stud.
Right?
Yeah.
I was honestly scared that Malik Murphy was going to – I was scared that he was going to jump ship and transfer to Florida. Because that would scare me if he went to Florida.
Yeah, I know.
But he didn't. He's still at Texas. Right. And I think legitimately, dude, again, either one you want to put in that lineup there, Texas has the firepower. Steve Sarkisian, again, against better judgment. I know if Daniel was here, he would tell me, the statistics about Steve Sarkisian and his records.
He knows his shit. Yeah.
I've done some research on him a year or two ago, and I can tell you right now, I know, I don't think he's ever gone 12-0. He's had some good teams. Even had
like a 10-win season, honestly. But
if he's gonna do it, this is the year to do it. I think you got to capitalize on it. I think the schedule is somewhat favorable for him. I'm going to buy the Kool-Aid and say they go 12-0.
Jesus Christ, man. Yeah, you got bigger balls than I do. I mean, Texas, I just have to go with 11-1 or 10-2. I will say 10-2 in there. If they do lose to Bama, I think they lose one of those other games, obviously. Christian, I like your stance. If they go 12-0, they're in the playoff, though. I mean, they are. There's no doubt about it. I mean, it's rare for anybody to run the table. We don't see it often other than maybe Georgia right now. Jesus, man. LSU has a chance if they knock off Florida State. Florida State's another team that you could throw in there who I'm super high on. God damn, man. That's a bold take, but I love it, man. That's a bold take. I like that people are going to say it. I know you, Christian, you put your money where your mouth is. So they get her done, man. They get her done. Like it's going to be interesting this year.
Absolutely, dude. I mean, if this was the other way around, if we were talking about, hey, they're going to the SEC, right? Ooh. This is next year. They're in the SEC, but everything else stays the same. Yeah, I wouldn't be as confident as
the SEC week in, week out. SEC is the toughest schedule. Big Ten is week in, week out, very tough too, even with some of the lower tier teams. But yeah, Big 12's got some teams in there. I know you guys are. I see some chat here like making fun of me because the Iowa State, man. You guys just wait. Just wait. I know. I'm telling you guys, Iowa State's owned Oklahoma the last few years in Oklahoma. Crypto, I know that. Just you laugh all you want.
The only way Iowa State's beating Texas this year is if Texas starts betting on their games.
Well, that's a problem, though. We actually got we got one of their transfers of basketball from Iowa who bet on games. Now he bet on like what the hell? I heard the number this morning. It was like over 100 some games in basketball he was betting on. I'm like, Jesus Christ! Iowa State's quarterback Decker was betting on games.
Yeah,
they had a video. He's like, "Don't tell anybody," and somebody recorded it. I'm like, God, you're an idiot. Iowa people, y'all are not too fucking smart. I don't know what's going on over there. That's Iowa and Iowa State. I don't know what's going on in that state. I'll say that for another day, though. There we go.
All right, Chris. Let's jump it over here. I'll let you read us in on this.
How do you think the big Red Bull Do rule era begins? You bet, Mike. Guys, I say this a lot. It's not a Nebraska podcast. I'll start off with that. But I will say, because you guys all know I'm a huge Nebraska man, probably the biggest homer on the fucking internet right now. How it begins, game against Minnesota, guys. You guys laugh. Everybody thinks Minnesota's a joke. And, we got the rule aid going on and everybody talking about it. I'm at work every day. Trust me, I meet a lot of people that every single day that love Nebraska football. They're already pegging us in for 10-2 like Christian does. I'll take a 6-6 year. I'll take a 7-5. I'll take an 8-4. I have us pegged at 8 wins. The big game for me, though, I will tell you guys more after week 1. If we win this game against Minnesota at Minnesota, we have a really good chance, guys. We have a good chance to really do something this year. I don't know what it is about Nebraska fans, like some of these people, man, and not in chat. I'm not talking about you guys. It's just like we all want to drink the Kool-Aid, right? We all want to be hyped up. We said the same thing about Scott. We said the same thing about Mike Riley. We got to prove it out on the field. At the end of the day, wins and losses is the most important thing. I'll keep it pretty short and sweet with that, Christian. I think Nebraska does have a chance to do something special. What that number is, I can't tell you, but I'll take even a bowl game, guys. Scott Frost won like literally 15 games here. Christian, go ahead. You got it pulled up.
Well, man, like you said, I mean, I wanted to pull their schedule up here. I mean, yeah, I got them pegged at 9-10 wins this year, dude. That's probably where I'm at with it. I know what you're saying, right? I know you're saying, oh my God, no, there's no way. But look, dude, come on. Minnesota. I watched their spring game. I was not impressed on the defensive side of the ball. Their best player, Mo Ibrahim, he's gone from last year, so I'm not really that concerned, with Minnesota. Colorado, dude, we've touched on Colorado. I mean, we're going to probably circle back to them, but I mean, they need to get both lines of scrimmage, addressed. I don't think they're going to be able to keep up with Nebraska. I think you're talking about two different programs on the line of scrimmage there. So give me Nebraska in that one. Northern Illinois, Louisiana Tech. Matt Rule. I think he's going to have them boys ready. I mean, this is going to set them up to start the season off going 4-0. Then you go in. Then you're playing Michigan at home. Okay, this is going to be Jim Harbaugh's first game back from the 4-game suspension, I think, right? Now, they're still kicking that around. I haven't really heard much about that. So I don't know what's going to happen. Again, the NCAA could, I heard something today, and I'll kind of just say this. The NCAA, this wasn't today, this was a couple days ago. They're coming to figure out, they want to be more stringent on this NIL stuff, right? So the NCAA might be trying to regain some control over all this stuff. So if that happens, there's always a chance that, hey, Harbaugh's trying to negotiate this thing down. The NCAA may say, okay, that offer's off the table. Now it's 6 games, right? So there's a couple things here that could happen. Now, if regardless of what happens there, right, if it's a distraction, I'm still going to give Michigan the win here, right? I think it'll be a closer game than many people think, but I'll still give it to Michigan, so that's 1 loss. It's at Illinois. Illinois is going to be a sneaky good team this year, but once again, dude, I mean, I really think Nebraska, they're going to be much better this year on defense. They've got some talent, right? They did a great job at recruiting. I think Matt Rule's going to have everybody sort of playing in the right position here. Give me the win there, so that's 5 wins. Northwestern, Purdue, no, sir, no, I don't. I don't think that at all. Michigan State lost Peyton Thorne, and then they've got pretty much the Big Ten's version of Stetson Bennett over there playing quarterback for him.
Right.
So again, give me Nebraska in that game. Maryland, I think that's going to be. I think this stretch right here, Maryland, Wisconsin, and Iowa. Dude, I think Maryland might be a trap game almost in a way, if you will.
Oh, 100%. People sleeping on Maryland, dude. Sleeping. I'm gonna hit the can real quick, Christian. I'm gonna let you take this over for about 30 seconds if you can.
Yeah, dude, not a problem here. So again, Maryland, it's one of those things. They're a sneaky good team. I think Maryland can actually upset some of the other teams in the Big Ten this year, whether it be Penn State, Ohio State, or Michigan. Wisconsin, I mean, I've said this. Chris is much higher on Wisconsin than I am this year, only because, dude, I'm not going to harp on it. I say this every show. I think their offense is still really going to struggle. I think defensively they'll be okay. But it's Luke Fickell's first year. You go back and you look at Luke Fickell's first year, even at Cincinnati, and even when he took over at Ohio State, I think he went like 6-7 that first year at Ohio State. So I think this is a very beatable Wisconsin team this year, and in Iowa. I mean, same thing you can pretty much say about Wisconsin, right? They go out and get Cade McNamara to be their quarterback, but who else did they really go out and make this offense a super dynamic offense? Not to mention, I mean, Nebraska beat Iowa, right? They beat Iowa last year. Now I understand this isn't last year. Iowa tried to make a comeback. They had a backup quarterback playing, for a good bit of that game, and it's just, I don't know, dude. Like I said, I just don't see a way if Nebraska plays the way I know they can, and Sims stays healthy. That's the key there. If Sims stays healthy, I think they'll win at least 9 games this year.
Oh my God, I hope you're right, Christian. I listen to you talk, man. I preach all day long. I'm not sitting here being the Nebraska hater, as I am the Nebraska man, as they say. I just don't. It can't happen. There is the outcome of possibilities that does happen this year. Maybe it's me because I've been a Nebraska fan my whole entire life since 1991. But like it's one of those things, man. It's just like it's going to be tough this year, Christian. It's going to be tough. I'm just very. The start of the season is going to be very, very, very tough for us as far as the Minnesota game. If we do win that, we go on the road to Colorado. You guys know my thoughts on Colorado. I'm not worried about Colorado, but they come off a loss, with the TCU game at Colorado, old school rivalry. Like, it's going to be tough. It's going to be. I don't think it's going to be pretty right away. And you said the one key thing, Christian. I heard you talk. Can Jeff Sims stay healthy? He hasn't done that his whole career, by the way. He's had problems at Georgia Tech with that. If he stays healthy, yes. I think the offense is going to be great here. My big question mark with Nebraska is their fucking defense. Like, can you guys hold people to field goals instead of giving up touchdowns, stupid plays on 3rd and 9, the big yardage chunk plays they tend to do? If that changes, yes. I see shit in the chat. Oh, you gotta have more faith in Nebraska. I've been having faith my whole life, man. I was recruited by these kids. I could have played there. The big thing is like, can they do something on the defensive side of the ball? Get some pressures, Christian. How many sacks did Nebraska have last year? 9? Like the whole entire year, and 6 of those were in the Iowa game. That's a problem. Come on, guys. Let's pull it together here about Nebraska. I'm not trying to make this a Nebraska podcast. But, Christian, you hit the nail on the head. Jeff Sims stays healthy. Yeah, offense is going to be great. I'm not worried about that at all. Rule's going to run the ball. We got arguably one of the greatest, probably running back rooms in the country. But it don't mean shit if you can't stop anybody on the other side of the ball. And we've had a problem with that, not 2 years ago, but last year we did, and the year before we did. It's one of those hit or miss things, man. And I'm with you, Christian. Mike, you make a good point. I think, Nebraska's going to have a great season as far as 6-6. That's a win for me. Maybe not for you, but for me. And I'll take it this year. We get a bowl game. We haven't been in a bowl game in 5 years, guys. That's how sad that reality really truly is the big time Nebraska fan over here.
Yeah. I mean, dude, I'm going to say this. I'll kind of answer it here. Chris, you touched on they gave up, it seemed like every time that, any team wanted to run the ball against Nebraska last year, they were getting 5, 6, 7 yards a pop. I mean, hell, then they were going for 20 plus yards on some of these runs. I mean, it just was, they were getting gashed in a lot of different areas. I really think, Chris, it was a schematic thing, and they were trying to get guys from the portal, such as who was it? It was Devin Drew. I think he was the Alabama transfer, that big defensive tackle. They were trying to lean on him. He showed up very late in the camp. Something to do with, I think, academics or something. He had to graduate from Bama and then come over here. And he just wasn't able to kind of get in shape. They had other guys on that defensive line, but I think really it was more of a schematic thing I saw, dude. Like, guards and tackles were able to get up to the backers. I mean, they were just getting pushed off the ball. Yep. I think if they would have changed that defensive front a little more and played with, like 3 big defensive tackles on there, that would have helped probably seal that up a little more and kind of clog it.
Yeah, that's the thing though. It's like I don't know if it was that's what I mean. Like, we're trying to throw a dart at a dartboard here. Like, it's like we could sit here and look at the past, and I'm not one of those people that live on the past. Like, we learn from our mistakes, right? But like last couple of years with Scott's defense, it was almost like we had really good players at certain positions, but then like they didn't do anything. You know what I mean? It was one of those things where it's like, is it scheme? Is it the defensive coordinator? Is it? Nobody can tell me, and nobody's going to know for certain. This is why it's in the past. I don't care. We just didn't know, Christian. I mean, we've had crazy good players come through this thing with a ton of talent, didn't do shit here, end up going to the NFL, and they're on a starting roster, and they're contributing to a team's defense. It's crazy to me. It's like, that's where I fall ultimately on coaching, just me personally. And it's like, that's so tough for me, Christian, because it's like, sucks, because Nebraska's been finishing top 25 most years in recruiting, but you're not. But how come we're not finishing top 25, top 30, top 35? Why is that not translating over to the field in wins and losses where it all comes down to? You see what I'm saying?
Absolutely. There's another question. Did we play? And then we'll get to, oh man, we were just getting ready to jump in and take a caller here, but they backed off.
Woo! Let's go.
Here's the thing. Hey, call into the show. We'll check it, even if there's a 308 here. Listen, dude, I'm telling you right now, I played at DeVry University. That's where I ended up playing at, son. Where did you play, Chris?
I played at UNK for a very short stint until my I did track. I was a 3-time state high jump champion here. All state first team basketball, averaged 22 points a game. My senior year, I broke every record in football as far as Class D goes for the most part. Not every record. I shouldn't say that. It sounds a little bragging, but recruited by Nebraska, Georgia Tech, Minnesota, Iowa. I got in a lot of trouble my senior year in high school. So that's my own fault. I'm going to sit here on air and talk about all that, but I know that I could have contributed or at least been on a team D1. That was my only goal. So I played at UNK for a short stint. Had terrible grades because I'm an idiot. And that's why I do a podcast with this guy. Yeah.
As far as my football history, I played I ended up playing quarterback, like I said, when in the state of Georgia, not the University of Georgia, by God, but I transferred schools. I ended up going to one of the largest classifications, down there in Georgia. And then I ended up switching from quarterback to defensive end. Ended up playing against some pretty good schools down there. I got some looks from very smaller schools. My coach, my senior year, he wanted to put me as a nose guard. I was 200 pounds, and they tried to put me as a nose guard going up against guys that were going to the SEC and eventually go on to the NFL. And it just it didn't really work. Yeah. I mean, I held my own, but it wasn't. I wasn't getting recruited to a major program as a 200-pound nose guard in high school. So,
yeah.
And this gentleman says, I don't look like a quarterback. It is all good. That was.
He said Chris, though. You're Christian. I'm Chris.
No,
I don't know
dude,
what he's talking about.
he's talking about me because you didn't say you played quarterback.
No, by the way, receiver.
Yeah,
I played both sides. Yeah.
So no, dude, I think I think the other side of it is. By the way, he's Chris. I'm Christian, so I'm confused. You can call me Christopher. I don't even care, dude.
That's my actual real name.
Well, shit, don't do that then.
I'm not. No, it's all good, Christian. Like I said, man, I'm not going to come on here and talk a bunch of shit about how good I was or anything, but I know I was a good athlete. I know that. It was my own personal problems that I miss. But yes, I did play a bunch of guys. I can name a bunch of guys, basketball and football, that either played in the league or were crazy good or almost made it to the league. If you want to talk about football, I definitely played against some guys who played in the NBA, which is even crazy too. So I could get into that story. It's another story for another day. I definitely wasn't Crypto King though. I know how good he is now and where he played. So that's cool shit though. Long story short though, Christian, no, I mean, I guess my thing is, overall, Christian, we talk a lot about the Huskers. We talk a lot about a lot of these prominent teams this year. I want to know, Christian, and I got to ask you on air real quickly, because we like I said, guys, we don't like consult before shows or anything like that. If you guys probably think that we do, we don't, even though we're like related like through family and stuff. Christian, who wins the national title this year, college football? Oh,
man, I'm gonna throw a dart at a dartboard here.
I just want to know. I want to do this on air, so it's recorded live, and we can laugh about it. Like 200 days from now.
I'm gonna say some crazy shit, Chris.
Oh, it's
LSU.
I knew it was an SEC school.
I'm gonna say LSU just because I think LSU gets back some of the most production in the country, right? I just think they're gonna. Well, I could see it either being like LSU or Florida State, right? I think. And I agree. I don't think it's going to be Georgia, right? I don't think it's going to be Georgia. I know people are saying USC. I think USC will be good. They'll get through the Pac-12, right? But you got to look at Lincoln Riley's track record and the teams he's had previously, right? He can make it to the dance, but he can't close the deal.
100%.
That's what I'm basing that off of. I'm also looking at Texas. Texas, I know I just said they can go 12-0, but I could just as easily see a scenario where you have LSU, Texas, USC, and Michigan, right, make it to the playoff. The only team that we're really looking at that has any recent track record of doing anything in the playoffs is Michigan. But I think LSU returns probably the most production compared to anybody else. So even if they lose a game, they get in there and they match up against any one of those teams, I think they could put the clamps on them. It's one of those weird things. I mean, of course, we would have probably said the same thing about Michigan versus TCU last year. I don't know.
Would you like to ask me that question?
Yeah. Who do you think will win the national championship this year, Chris?
Michigan. I think it is.
Okay.
I think this is the time for the Big Ten man to grab a hold of his little Smoky and flaunt it around. And it's not Ohio State. It's not Penn State, even though I think Penn State wins against Ohio State this year. Yeah, write it down. Yeah, I know. I pissed off the Ohio State man. I love every second of it. I do. I think Michigan's got it this year, man. I think it happens. I think I actually really want to watch is Michigan play Georgia, which what should have been last year. That's what I wanted. I actually think Michigan's gonna be really good. I think Jim Harbaugh's a great coach, even though he's been trying to get out of there and try to get in the NFL. The NFL is telling him this every time. I think Michigan's got it this year, Christian. I do. I really do. I'm not going on the SEC boat. I know you took LSU. LSU is going to be great this year. I think that first game against Florida State, who I am ultra high on, I think Florida State beats them. I know we have different opinions about that, and that's okay.
Yep.
I think Ohio State is going to be a good team this year. I do. I think it wouldn't shock me if they made the playoffs. It wouldn't shock me if USC made the playoffs. It wouldn't shock me. It would shock me a little bit if Oklahoma made the playoffs. But I mean, Texas, maybe. Yeah. Oregon, what happens if Washington wins the Pac-12 this year? They got a chance. I think Michael Penix is a great quarterback, been around forever. But I got to roll with Michigan this year, Christian. I really, truly do. I really do. I think that they return a shit ton of people. We could talk about returners. Oh, this team returns 17 people. Florida State returns more than anybody. And I am so high on them. But I think Georgia is in the national title game. I think they get beat by Michigan. I'll even take it a step further, and I'll give you that prediction right there. Write it down. 4 or 5 months away from knowing the actual truth. Write it down, baby. Write it down.
Oh, let's switch gears a little bit here, Chris. Who's going to win the Super Bowl this
year? Christian, this sucks. It's almost like you set this up. And Crypto, thanks for setting this up for a guy that is a Georgia fan, right? And we all know where all the Georgia defensive players go. Which team do they go to, Christian, in the NFL?
Believe that'd be the Philadelphia Eagles.
Yeah. I'm a big Jalen Hurts guy. And I think the Eagles win it this year. I pray to God they beat the Chiefs because I live in Nebraska and I have to listen to these bandwagon, simp riding Chiefs fans over here all the time. I'm not obviously a Chiefs fan by any means. I respect the shit out of Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce. I hope the Eagles get it done this year. Eagles, to me, just like, I love Jalen Hurts. I think that guy's an incredible leader. I love A.J. Brown, you name it. Dallas Goedert, you name it. They got DeAndre Swift from the Lions this year. They got my boy Jason Kelce at center for his life. I think he's going to retire if they win it this year. I mean, they got so many people, dude. Their defense is literally the Philly Bulldogs, as I call them. They got everybody off the Georgia defense. They're going to be tough this year. I hate to say that because the NFC is way, way down compared to the AFC as far as top-tier teams go in talent. But I got to go with the Philadelphia Eagles this year, Christian. I do. Who do you got?
Locking it in.
One of your teams, by the way.
Yeah. I mean, you kind of, you know what? I can't take the same answer as you. I would probably say the Eagles, right? That would have been my choice. But I'm going to kind of go a different direction. You know what? Why don't I go with the Bengals, right?
Oh my God, my boy Joe Burrow.
Yeah, I'm throwing the Bengals out there as kind of like a dark horse team, right? They're always like in the hunt now for it.
Some Bengals, dude.
Right, and it's like, can they figure out a way? I mean, they played in the Super Bowl last year, and they had to run into Aaron Donald and Stafford and all them, and
2 years ago.
2 years ago, and it didn't work out. So, you know, I think if they can get, I mean, honestly, if they can get through Patrick Mahomes again, and they can match back up against, you know, the Eagles or hell, even the, you know, whoever else you want to put in there, they got just as good of a shot. I think.
If my Finns don't win it, that's my next team I always root for is the Bengals, man. I love myself some Joe Burrow all day, every day. What else we got, Christian, before we wrap it up?
All right. Let's talk about the 12-team playoffs and how it's going to work. So I think the 12-team playoffs, you know, it's going to be very interesting. I think you have to first look at what they're doing with all the conference realignment, if I'm not mistaken. So they're going to do away, or not conference realignment, but with the divisions of football. So there's kind of like everyone's doing away with divisions now.
Yep.
So, you know, so conference champions, it's not going to be the East and the West. It's just going to be the best teams are going to play in their conference championship games, and then they'll kind of base it off of, you know, what happens after that. I think it's going to be very similar to how they do it now. I still think it's just I think 12 teams, you know, is still not enough, right? Just from the simple standpoint of this is going to be debated, I think, eventually until you get to 18, 24 teams, right? And you just make it the top 25, right? I think 25 might be a bit much, but I think what you would probably want to do, Chris, is maybe make it like the top 20 teams in all of college football. The problem is once you get outside of like the top maybe 8, right? How do you figure out who to place who and where to place, you know, who? That's where it gets really subjective.
Yeah, I like Crypto said it perfectly. I always said it should be 16, just like they do the NCAA tournament. Obviously, they start with 64, and it's actually more than that. And 64, 32, 16, 8, 4, 2, right? And then 1. But I actually think that they should just have 16 and leave it right there. If you're not a top 16 team, man, you're probably not relevant enough. That means anybody outside of 2 losses. You know what I mean? If you look at the AP polls, like a lot of teams, there's a shit ton of teams that have 2 losses. Alabama, you know, Nick Saban was sitting there bawling and fucking crying last year. I didn't get in. Well, you lost to Tennessee and LSU. I'm sorry, but he still wanted in, right? And they ended up finishing 5th or 6th. And they beat K-State or whoever the hell it was in a game that nobody fucking watched because nobody cared. It's one of those things. I would rather see a 2-loss team. Everybody's a 2-loss team. So that basically, Crypto's right. And I've been saying this forever. Make it a 16, make it an 8. Then those teams can all play. You know, you got your chance. You got your shot. Just like the NCAA basketball tournament. You got your chance. I mean, if you didn't win, you didn't win. Oh, it was a 16 seed playing a number 1 seed. Well, you know what? You want to be the best, you got to beat the best. That's my motto. You had your chance. It didn't work out. We said that last year. Nobody thought TCU was going to beat Michigan. I don't want to hear any TCU fans tell me that you thought. TCU fans would tell me they thought that, but nobody else in the rest of the world last year thought that game was going to go the way it was. One of the best playoff games I ever watched. No defense played in that game, but it was nuts.
Yeah, dude, you're right. The one thing I will say about what I want to see, Chris, is, and we're going in the opposite direction of it, and I hate it, is I would rather see them expand the playoffs and cut down on all the bullshit games.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like,
nobody wants to watch 6-6 Miami play 6-6 Minnesota. Nobody cares.
Yeah,
Nobody gives
exactly that. Make the bowl games mean something again, right?
Yes.
Tie it into the playoffs.
Yes.
So that way the Tostitos, Cheez-It, Bank of America, whatever you want to call it, bowl can actually be relevant. Not only that, but I mean like the Georgia versus the School for the Blind, the Kentucky School for the Blind. I don't want to watch that in the beginning of the year. No. Cut it to like 8 games a year or 10 games a year. Cut 2 games out, right, a year. Go to a 10-game schedule. Make it, if you want to do the 9-game conference schedule, do that, right? You get 1 warm-up game, and that's it. You keep it moving.
Yep. No, you're exactly right. And you said it best, is that, like, I don't give a flying F about those bowls. Nobody does. Here's the problem with college football. There's so much money involved, and we can say this about everything in life, the appliances you buy, and we could go down this road. It's all about that bowl, like the name of the bowl game. They get a certain amount of money for the bowl game sponsor. But nobody's watching. Nobody cares about a 6-6 I don't want to say North Carolina, Miami, Louisville, who should be good. Who else am I going to throw? Wake Forest team playing a goddamn 6-6 Purdue team. Nobody gives a shit. Nobody. And I hate to say that. I'm not knocking either one of those fan bases. But Christian, I'll watch it on the side while I'm doing about 40 other things. Like, because it's just football, and I love football with my dear heart. But it's like, God, get rid of that crap. Make an actual. If they did a 16-team playoff, dude, I know they got a 12 in place. Oh my God, it's like the NCAA tournament. That's why the NCAA tournament is the most hyped, overrated betting on sporting event there ever was. That's why everybody's filling out brackets, right?
Yeah.
Even if you don't follow college basketball, people are betting on the games because they're like, hey, fuck it. This is my one time of the year. I'm gonna put money down. I'm gonna, pray to God my bracket's won, the top 1%, right? I mean, that's I want college football to get to that point because nobody is watching, 6-6, Maryland playing 6-6 Ole Miss. I mean, nobody's watching it. I hate to say that. And I'm not knocking any of these teams I brought up, by the way. I'm just making a quick assumption. So it sucks. Crypto's right, though. I mean, nobody's go to 16. Just go to 16. Make it easy. Make it simple. If you're not a 2-loss team, if you have 3 losses, sorry, you're not in. Should have won your games. Give everybody a chance. Now we don't have to whine and bitch and complain about the BCS. Chris, you remember the BCS? You probably.
Oh yeah. No, I remember the BCS, son. Come on now.
Yeah, you're young though. You probably don't remember it. Where there was it's all computer based, and people are complaining. Well, number 3 Michigan should have been playing Miami in 01. Yeah, you're right, because Nebraska lost to Colorado by 40 in the Big 12 title game. Yeah, I get it. You're not wrong. But that I don't want that being in question anymore. I just want everybody to play it out, and there's no excuses for every school.
You're not wrong. I mean, like I said, and I when you were saying that, I was thinking about this, Chris. It's like baseball, right? Baseball, there's 162 games a year, right? No, people will. I get really hyped about baseball and the Braves in particular, at the start of the year. And then after probably 2 or 3 games, I really don't watch it, right? I mean, I don't care about watching the Braves go and take on, the Oakland Athletics, in August. I don't care. But we come back around to, October, November, we start getting playoff baseball, and it's electric. I'll watch playoff baseball now. That's something I will do. And I think it's the same thing with football, right? If you want to make the most amount of money, you cut the games down. And you make the matchups mean something more. I think really that could have saved a lot of this conference realignment stuff that we are doing. I mean, I'm more of a college football, traditionalist, and I think you are too, though.
Yeah, 100%, man.
All right, well, probably last thing we'll probably hit on right here, Chris. Want us to talk about Rutgers? What do we think about Rutgers?
4-8. I mean, Rutgers is interesting, but it's just not enough there. I think they're going to be. God, I'm going to piss the Michigan State man off. I mean, Michigan State, I think, has a lot with Mel Turner, and I don't know where Rutgers really fits in the Big 10 this year, Christian. I really don't. Like Northwestern, I think they can beat Northwestern, sure. Temple, okay. You got your 2 dubs. Va-Tech is not a good team, but that's an up and down game. If they did win that, okay, you're not winning Michigan. You're going to beat Wagner, so there's your 4 wins. You're not beating Wisconsin. Michigan State's a question mark. You got Indiana. I still think Indiana's better. Ohio State, Iowa, Penn State, Maryland. No, hell no. I'm looking at 4 or 5 win season for Rutgers this year, Christian. That's running through it quickly, but that's kind of where I have Rutgers pegged this year. Not that I hate the program, not that I hate the coach. It's just Rutgers got some work to do.
Dude, you're absolutely right. I mean, Northwestern, Temple, Virginia Tech, that should all be wins for them. Michigan, no way in hell. Wagner, so that's 4 wins right there. Wisconsin, no. Michigan State, maybe they can upset Michigan State. The crazy thing about it, dude, is Greg Schiano. He does weird shit over at Rutgers. Now, granted, I know last time he was there, they were in the Big East, if I'm not mistaken, right? So it was a completely different conference. But when he traditionally is at Rutgers, they do some weird stuff. So I could see a scenario where they pull 5, 6, maybe 7 wins. Seven's like the ceiling, right? 7 would be beating Michigan State and maybe Iowa or Maryland.
What?
I'm just saying. I mean, if Iowa comes out and they look like they did last year, and and Rutgers can do something, maybe they can do it.
We could say maybe about a lot of teams, man. Rutgers beating a Maryland or an Iowa team.
Yeah, well, I'm high on Maryland, dude. But it's the last game of the year, right?
Dude, so you're high on a lot of shit, including life. But I mean, like, damn, bro, like, what the hell, man? If you got like a Rutgers hot take here, Rutgers makes a bowl game.
Yeah, I'll go with it. I'll say Rutgers can make a bowl game, right? I mean, it's not an easy schedule, dude. It's not an easy schedule at all, but it's just one of those things, man. I'm looking at this, like, I'm not high on Michigan State this year. I think Rutgers...
Michigan State's going to struggle this year. God, I got in a fight with a guy online about Michigan State. All because I put them at 5 and 7.
So I mean, the battle of 5 and 7s, anything can happen, right? I mean,
this guy told me that they're going 9 and 3. Said I was a retard. That's a word he used. I'm like, wow, 9 and 3, Michigan State, 9 and 3 on that side of the conference.
Chris, let's just agree to disagree, right?
Dude,
you're going senile in your old age. All right, we're going to the call-in show here.
What we got?
Good evening. You're on with the I-80 boys.
It's loading.
Loading, is it?
Still loading. Come on, crypto. We got is it crypto or is it Children of Corn? Why the hell is it not loading?
It's Children of the Corn here. Hold on one second. All right.
Tell them to get off that Walmart internet connection over there.
Yeah. Oh, there we go. Okay, Good morning. Oh, we just got him, man. Here. Try this. We'll post it again. We want him. Yeah, we want him to jump back in, obviously, take some calls here.
Yeah, tell him to jump in and just leave it go. A delay.
Yeah, we're picking it up. You know, for whatever reason, it wasn't anything in there, so yeah, he was just on. So, you know, one thing I can talk about, Chris, here is next Friday we're gonna call an NFL game here. Get us going here. Oh
my God, baby, we got the Falcons Dolphins. This is my team against Christian's. Die Hard. He's an Atlanta guy.
Dirty Bird, son.
Yeah, he was born and raised down there. I'm born and raised in Nebraska, and I'm still somehow a Dolphins fan now of 30 years. Yeah, we're pumped. If you guys want to talk some shit, talk some NFL, we'll answer college questions. Jump in, man. We're gonna have a lot of fun with this one. Probably gonna be drinking a lot of alcoholic beverages. So join in. It's gonna be fun. We'll talk some NFL. We'll talk some college football. 100% Christian. You know us. We'll me and Christian could like do this show offline, and we still sit here for 3 hours and talk crap. So, hey,
there we go. Can you hear us?
I got you, buds. How you going?
What's up, man?
We're doing all right. What's going on with you, old corn? Can you hear us?
Yeah, Walmart connection.
Can you hear us? Hello? All right.
Gotta get off that Walmart connection, dude.
All right. Well, for whatever reason, it's not working. So we're having some technical difficulties on it. But
I think it's on his end, man. He's probably don't have that good connection. I know where he's from. I know exactly where he's at. Not a lot.
Is it kind of in the sticks?
Oh, it's in the sticks, baby. Sticks in Nebraska, man. I know he's from where I'm from.
Yeah, like I can see him, but it's just not populating on there.
Yeah, you gotta have that dialed in connection, Christian.
Dialed in connection. Is that it?
Yeah, dialed in. You know what I'm talking. Well, you wouldn't know much about being dialed in, but that's like your takes on this show, dude. Sometimes this show is watchable, by the way. Like once out of every 15 times, maybe you get lucky.
Yeah, I mean sometimes you get lucky with it. Yeah, we're gonna call it. So I mean, basically, crypto. What we're trying to do is. So it's not a phone number; it's just a link that we post here. So
there you go. Yep.
Let me try this.
Yeah, I mean, you guys can call in. We'll answer any questions. I mean, 100%.
What we want to do though is throughout the season we want to call the top matchup. So like week 1, we're calling Notre Dame and Navy. We're going to actually do the whole game, do a whole stream through it, and just kind of call it like a play-by-play.
Yeah, we've done this before. I mentioned this in the chat, guys.
Yeah.
That was me. We did a Nebraska game. We had 50, 60 people in there talking. I mean, Christian does a great job, by the way. If you guys don't know, you guys want to make fun of him because he's from Georgia, but the guy can call play-by-play, and then I kind of commentate over. We talk college football. We're going to be watching just you guys. I keep talking about this. We're in store for some big things here. You guys all laugh. That's fine. We will be fine with that, but like we got a lot of stuff coming here, Christian. We're doing a lot of college games. We'll talk football. We'll talk any team you guys want to, not just Nebraska. We'll talk OU. We'll talk whatever our thoughts, what we saw the previous week. Christian, you know this, man. We're always talking college football.
Yeah, man, I'm excited about it. Again, I happen to be a Falcons fan. Chris happens to be a Dolphins fan, so it's going to be good practice for us. Yep. It's a preseason game. I probably will know like the 2 deep once we start getting into the third on. I mean, it's going to be we're going to have to do some research for this game. I know that.
Oh yeah. Yeah, no, I think we will too. And like I said, thanks Crypto for sticking around. I appreciate it, man. Thanks for the input. We're like I said, we're really new, so we know that, and we're continuing to grow. We're doing what we can do here, and man, we love college football just as much as you do. We love the NFL. We're gonna talk football, man. That's why we're here for. We're not doing this for anything other than just talk football, man. I love reaching. Actually, the most fun, Christian, I think you would agree, is man talking to other people we didn't know. Found out about you. We found out about. I mean, that's the thing. I love it, man. I love, even though I'm a Nebraska man and the Nebraska fan, I love talking to Christian. He's a Georgia guy, so he's born and raised there. That's awesome. So like, we love talking football. I love hearing other people's stories. I love hearing about other people's teams, why they think I'm wrong. I'll sit here all day and take criticism all day long. Nebraska sucks. That's fine. I love that. I think Christian does that too. I mean, he's like, I want to learn more about the Big Ten. I want to learn more about the SEC. That's why we do this show. This is why we, want to talk to you guys and get your thoughts and do this thing. So thank you guys, by the way. Anybody that's still around, I know there's not a lot of people left here, but like, I appreciate it. We all do. We talk about this off air. We talk about you guys. We talk about, where we want to go with this thing. So I appreciate it.
Absolutely, dude. Like I said, we'll probably stick around here for like another 5-ish, 10 minutes, maybe. We'll see if Children of the Corn doesn't get on Twitch. Man, that Twitch thing. It's been a while. We're just trying to stick with YouTube for right now. We do a little bit of stuff on Facebook as well. So
yeah. If you guys, by the way, haven't kicked over I-80 Boys page, like, comment, subscribe. I know it sounds cliche, but helps us out over there. Helps us bring more people in. We do get people in over here from Facebook every once in a while, and that's great. Me and Christian talk about this. We're kind of in a dead period of trying to start something here in the off season of football, but we're going to do some big things here. I'm not worried about that, man. I'm just glad you guys are on board before the season starts, because this is going to get pretty heated here. Like I said, Christian does a hell of a job calling play-by-play. I commentate with him, but we talk a lot of college football as we're doing this. We've done this a couple times. We're pretty confident, Christian, in what we're doing. So, we just want to talk football. We just want to talk football with people like you guys, the chat.
Sure.
We try to follow up as much as we possibly can. Obviously, it's hard to do this. You guys don't know this. Try this on your own. It's not the easiest thing in the world to do, but we want to hear everybody's thoughts, opinions about their teams. We will talk about them, touch on them. Let us know in the comments. That makes it super easy to come back. I check this thing daily, all the time. I know Christian does too. We have
absolutely,
our accounts, but we try to answer questions. I like I said, we don't come on here. Christian, you never came on here and said you're an expert in college football, and hell no, neither am I. You're right, Christian. I mean, we don't want to try to act like experts. But I've been following college football for a long time. I played a lot of football. I'm trying to be the honest person. I'm the Nebraska man. Christian is the Georgia man. Trust me. Look at his background. You see it back there. He can talk more. He knows. He's forgotten more about Georgia football than I'll ever know. Same thing about me about Nebraska football. But we also want to talk about other teams. And I like to think I know a lot about the Big 10 and the Big 12 for Nebraska. Christian knows a shit ton about the SEC. And I don't even try to argue with him about it. But I will take his opinions. I will take your guys' opinions. I put those into context, and we try to talk about these things every single freaking day, guys. So I appreciate it. Thank you, Crypto, by the way, for coming over and talking about this stuff.
Yeah, man, absolutely. Do we really appreciate that? And if I'm right with this, Crypto, all you got to do is just say yes or no. I think 3-7. We share something very similar on that day.
That's kind of cool.
3-7, man. That's if I'm right on this, man. That's pretty awesome. I saw that and I started laughing. I tell my wife about that.
That's pretty fucking cool. Oh, thank you, man. I appreciate that.
Yeah,
thank you. Yeah, I appreciate it, man.
Like I said, we're gonna get there. It's the grind, though, man. It's the grind. I mean, it
starts with guys like this.
Yeah,
though.
Yeah, it does.
Guys that coming on,
it honestly does.
Give us 2 seconds of entertainment and 2 seconds of info, and he's always in here bringing people in. I love it, man. Thank you. Like I said, we're not. If we would have done a Nebraska channel, Christian, this thing would have blown up super quickly probably for us, but we're not just trying to do that. I love college football in general, just like I love NFL. I just want to talk football, man. I want to hear other people's thoughts other than the Nebraska man. You want to hear other thoughts, Christian, other than just the Georgia guy, you right?
Yeah, dude.
I mean, you want to hear why LSU is going to beat you guys. You want to hear why, Bama is going to be the best team. They're back again. This is why I love college football, man. The fan bases are so crazy in this sport. Love it. Fucking love it, man.
Chris, I got something for you here, man. We haven't dusted this off in a while. Tell me why Matthew Stafford is better.
I knew it was going.
Is better than JT Daniels, dude.
Oh, 100%. Matt Stafford, number 1 rated high school quarterback. Number 1 overall taken in the draft, is the best Georgia quarterback to ever come through there. To throw out the Super Bowl, bro, with the Rams. You're trying to tell me J2 Daniels, where's he at now, Christian? Can you even answer that?
He's at Rice.
How's that working out for you?
Hey, bro, I'm just saying
He's better than Matt Stafford?
He could go down as one of the greatest single-season Rice quarterbacks in history. My argument with you on this.
I can't even fucking do this.
Dude, my argument, Chris, on this is hold on one second. I got to go all the way back up here. My argument with you on this, Chris.
There's no argument.
There is an argument, though. Listen to me.
For you?
Well, okay, listen. I'm just saying, if you would have put JT Daniels, right, in whatever era, you put him back into when Stafford played, right? You see what Daniels was. I mean, the kid could throw it. The kid had a great arm. Stafford has a great arm. I'm not disagreeing with you, right? Think about this, right? Would you or would you not agree? Athletes, when you were growing up, are a lot different than the athletes now.
Yes and no.
All right, go ahead. I mean, I'm not talking about like the Bo Jacksons or the Herschel Walkers or the Tommy Frazier's or some of these guys like that, right?
Trying to make a point that JT Daniels is more talented. Are you trying to talk arm talent than Matt Stafford?
Yes. I'm just saying, dude, put JT Daniels on those teams.
Get the fuck out here with that take. Matt Stafford was the number 1 overall high school recruit. You guys landed him. I can't believe I'm making a case for Georgia man. He was great there. He didn't win it all. I know that 9-win seasons. I get that. He was the number 1 overall pick in the NFL draft. And he was great. If you didn't go to the freaking Lions, this guy would probably have he'd probably have another Super Bowl somewhere else. Goes to the Rams the first year, Christian. I don't have to break this down for you. You're no dummy. Well, you might be a dummy, but I mean, what the hell are we talking about right now? JT Daniels, the guy that can't stay on one team for 1 year, is more talented than Matt. Post this on YouTube. Make this a short, please. IE boy makes comment that JT Daniels is more talented than Matt Stafford. Right there. Write it down.
Okay. All right. Hold on one second, bro. Because I'm going to tell you this right now. All I'm saying is when Stafford played, it was a very different era, right? So Stafford, I'm just saying, I think Daniels could make some of the same throws, if not more of them, right? Like you're sitting here trying to tell me you're basing this off of what he did in the NFL. If you put Stafford, if you put Matt, yes, you are. You're just trying to. Okay.
No. Hey.
Chris, your mic's not connected, brother. Nope, can't hear it.
Oh, can't. All right. Sorry, no, now you can hear me.
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Yeah, sorry, hit the mute button now if I'm beating the shit out of my mic because you're not listening to me. Why is he on 5 different fucking college teams, dude?
Oh, well, I'm just saying the talent. We're talking about talent, son. I'm not talking about... Look, there's a lot of mental shit that goes on when you play quarterback. That's why he's transferred so many times. Now, hold on one second. We're gonna pull this up here. I'm doing this blind. I'm saying from an arm talent, bro.
But are you going to say the same thing about Justin Fields?
I mean, Fields has a good arm, but he's more of an elite. Like he's a better athlete, though, man. Like would I say Trevor Lawrence, though, right? Like would I say Trevor Lawrence over Matt Stafford? Yes.
What?
Okay, as a prospect, you're telling me right now you put Trevor Lawrence won a national championship his freshman year at Clemson
on a loaded Clemson team.
Georgia was pretty damn loaded too at that time.
Matt Stafford on that team.
Okay.
It's Trevor Lawrence. This is why me and you are never going to see eye to eye, dude, because you can't get over the fact that Matt Stafford was a crazy good quarterback for your team, by the way. I'm making a case for the Georgia man here, who is the Georgia man off to my left, and can't seem to accept it, is talking about Trevor Lawrence and JT Daniels, who can't even find himself on a fucking college roster year after year, trying to tell me it's better arm talent. Matt Stafford could throw the ball a freaking mile and wins the Super Bowl in the NFL. If he didn't play for the freaking Lions,
okay, but you're bringing the NFL side of it into it, bro.
We'll talk about Trevor Lawrence. He won a playoff game last year. They were down 20. I think Trevor Lawrence is a crazy. I got his auto right up here on this freaking wall. I do. I think Trevor Lawrence is awesome, but he is not until he reaches a level of Matt Stafford. And Trevor Lawrence has all the intangibles to be great. He hadn't proven it yet. But you're trying to tell me JT Daniels how this conversation started? JT Daniels, bro? I can't. Look at that. Look at that. Look at it.
Yeah, I'm looking at it.
What are you seeing? A guy who's played 18 years?
I'm looking at it. No, I'm looking at this as it says West Virginia, but he's definitely not at West Virginia, dude. He's at Rice. Trust me. Yeah, he's Rice.
Not Rice. He's on his fourth fucking team.
Right. Okay. All right. You might have a good point. He's on his fourth team, and I'm not saying he's bad, dude.
He's not any good. He's not any good.
Chris, the guy was undefeated at Georgia.
Oh my God.
Were you gonna tell me they were loaded there too?
Oh, because he's undefeated all of a sudden? How many games did he play at Georgia that he was undefeated, Christian?
Okay, Chris, let me ask you a question. If you put, all right, hypothetically speaking, if you put Taylor Martinez on a 90s Cornhuskers team as the starting quarterback over, like, I don't know.
They don't win national titles. Hell no. Freaking no.
I disagree.
So you're trying to tell me, whoa. I hope this goes on YouTube. I'm getting fired up now. You're trying to tell me Taylor Martinez is as good as Eric Crouch, Tommy Frazier, Brooke Barrier, who was our backup, who was awesome. You're trying to tell me he's better than those guys? Scott
Okay, so Eric Crouch after college, didn't he convert to a wide receiver? Because he was an elite athlete,
right? Quarterback, and he couldn't accept it in the NFL with the Packers. They wanted to make him a kick return. He was actually wanted by the Rams, who won a Super Bowl by the way that year with the Rams, Kurt Warner, and the greatest show on turf team. But he wanted to be a quarterback. Obviously, we know he wasn't a quarterback. He wasn't even could throw the ball at Nebraska. He was just an athlete back there. Guy holds one of the fastest 40 times here.
So, but can you not agree that Taylor Martinez had a better arm? And I mean,
no, he was an idiot. The guy couldn't throw the ball. He threw the ball to the wrong team every time. Hell no. What are you talking about here? It's like the same. You're trying to tell me. Post this on YouTube. You think that Taylor Martinez is throwing on the same team with
No. I'm just saying. Okay, you can't. All right. Yeah, he won a Heisman, but if you would have put Eric Crouch, right? If you would have put Eric Crouch in today's, like when Taylor Martinez played, right, in that style, the triple option was being phased out, Chris.
Still would have been better.
I'm just saying, Taylor Martinez was a good athlete, though, dude. Okay, I mean, he was a. All right, go ahead.
I'm losing my shit here. You're trying to tell me that You're trying to tell me that in your argument to start the show, the segment off, that JT Daniels is now better than Matt Stafford?
Yes.
That's what you're trying. Oh my God.
Okay, but we have to put context on it. We have to put context on it, right?
Put all the context and rubbers and latex you want on it. JT Daniels is never going to be Matt Stafford. He's on his 5th or 6th team of college football, and you're trying to tell me a guy that was drafted number 1 overall by the Lions and won a Super Bowl when he finally got on the dumpster fire Detroit team because he threw him for all these yards with Calvin Johnson, all this shit. You're trying to tell me he's better?
Yes, because let me tell you why I'm. Let me just tell you why. Let me tell you why. You won't let me talk. You just get so fired up about it, right? Let me give you the facts. If JT Daniels would have played in an era of college football where he could not have transferred out, okay, he could not have transferred out. So he had to stay right where he was at, right? Because back then that's what happened. There was no transfer, and you want to transfer? Good luck, right? Here's what I'm saying, Chris. You put Stafford and JT Daniels on the same team, right? What I'm just saying is, at the very least, and this is what I will concede, at the very least, it would have been a quarterback battle.
No, it wouldn't have been. And there's no fucking way, dude. I cannot believe that you're saying that JT Daniels had more talent and or could have been better than Matt Stafford. How come he hasn't proved it? What excuse are you making, or what context are you backing this off? The guy can't find a college home. Matt Stafford never moved. And to be the number 1 Christian.
Yeah, you get 3 years. Okay, so you get 3 years at a college, right? You get 3 years at the same school, same offense under Mark Richt, the same offensive coordinator, right? JT Daniels, and we just touched on that, Chris. He never stayed at a school really for more than 2 years, dude.
They didn't want him. He was trash. He's a used up garbage can.
No.
Yeah, no. Why? Why, Chris?
Okay.
Why is he bounced around a bazillion times then?
Let me tell you this right now. If he would have stayed at USC, the problem with this kid was he couldn't stay healthy. There was a lot of mental things going on there where he gets hurt, and I think the kid just doesn't have that mental.
Slow.
He's not mentally slow. It's a psychological thing. The kid literally hired a sports psychologist to get him dialed back in.
Are you in bed with this guy?
No, I'm not in bed. No, I'm not in bed with this guy. I'm just giving you his backstory, dude. Right? I think he could have played, and that's what pissed off. I don't know about the USC part of it, but I know about the Georgia part.
So you say that about every team that he's been on, that you're making some excuse that he had a problem with the coaches? Even though the guy's like Matt Stafford times 10? Like, are you kidding me?
I never said he was Matt Stafford times 10, son. I just said
he was better. You said he was.
Yeah, I'm saying if you would have put him into the same era and it was a little bit different than now.
I can't believe I even do a show with you anymore. What the hell are we talking about these days? Are we seriously doing this right now? Alive? I can't believe. I got people joining in right now. We're screaming at each other. This guy says that JT Daniels is better than Matt Stafford. I'm talking about a Georgia guy. I'm not even a Georgia fan.
I didn't say that he was better. I just said if you would have put them, like in today's era of football, if you put Matt Stafford next to JT Daniels in today, and they're both freshmen in college, okay? They are both freshmen in college, but you go back and or put them at their peak. I would like to think that JT Daniels might beat him out. Because, and we've touched on it, right, Chris?
So you're telling me that the NFL scouts, and they have people that get paid a hell of a lot more than you and I are making on a daily basis on a regular job. These guys didn't know what they were talking about when they drafted Matt Stafford number 1 overall.
No, that's not what I'm saying. That's not what I'm saying at all, Chris.
This guy has a fucking rocket for an arm. He's smart with the football. You're telling me that JT Daniels, who still hasn't made it out of college because he can't find a fucking team that wants him.
Okay, well, to your argument there, Chris, to your argument, listen here, motherfucker. To your argument, this is what you have to understand. You just talked about, NFL scouts that get paid millions of dollars to draft people. They get that shit wrong all the time. Why do you think Mitch Trubisky?
Wrong as a casual fan, I don't even know nothing about your Georgia boys, and you can't even get it right that Matt Stafford is the greatest quarterback to ever play at Georgia. Aaron Murray is better than JT Daniels, in my opinion. What are you talking about, Christian?
I'm talking about from a talent standpoint. Obviously, you can't succeed this to me, right? When you played football, everybody ran some variation of the wing T triple option, right?
Everybody ran. What are you talking about Nebraska? You're trying to say Taylor was better than Eric Crouch.
Yes, because if you let me finish my fucking point, you'll understand that. All right? You never let me finish what I'm trying to say. You just want to jump over it and get all rah-rah and hyped up. Listen, you can go put the kids that are coming out of Nebraska now against some of the teams you played, and you would get fucking smoked. And Nebraska's not even that great, like as far as a high school powerhouse state as high school football is concerned. All right? I'm just saying the 5'10" kid that you went against the cornerback you went against in high school is now 6'1" and runs a 4.340, right? As a sophomore in high school. So you tell me, Chris, has the competition not gotten better as we get older? I mean, this isn't 1958 where you have a 5'8" white guy who's lucky to be 160 pound playing middle linebacker in the NFL. Right? So could you not succeed that, hey, the athletes of today are a little better than the athletes of yesteryear? Now, I'm not saying that goes across the board. Stafford is an elite quarterback, right? But if you go back and you look at him, right, and you look at him as remove everything he's done. See, I think the problem is, Chris, is you're looking at what he did his whole career at Georgia. You're looking at what he did in the NFL, right? And you're getting this bias, right? You're getting this bias that comes into it.
Can I talk now? Because I can't listen to this blasphemy that you're talking about. JT Daniels is what this all comes down to. If you have it, if this, I hope this gets posted to fucking YouTube. I can't believe we're doing this online. I'm literally like just mauled that you think that JT Daniels, who can't find a home after 15 schools, you're laughing because you know it's true.
Yeah, I'm laughing at that.
Better than Matt Stafford?
Okay, the same way you have to take Stafford's, like I said, his NFL shit out of it is the same way you have to take his jumping around away.
I don't need it. The guy was better. He was a better high school player. He was a better college career. What the hell are you talking about? Oh, Chris, because you played against 5'10", unathletic naps out there. What the hell are we talking about, dude? I'm talking about Matt fucking Stafford, dude. Guy had one of the best arms since John Elway. What are you talking about? We're talking about JT Daniels, who can't make a career more than 2 years at any school. USC, pretty prominent school. Would we agree? Sure. Georgia, sure shit couldn't cut there. Oh, yep. Now I'm at West Virginia, which is complete trash. Couldn't make it there. Now he's at Rice. I mean, what, 2 years now? From now, he's at what? Georgia Southern. I mean, goddamn, dude. Like, how far do you have to take this thing with this kid? Like, what do you got? What are you in bed with him? I'm trying to figure out what the hell you're even talking about at this point. It's like you guys are best friends or grew up in the same. Do you know something I don't? You guys went to high school together? Is this what this is about?
No, dude. JT Daniels went. He grew up in California, man. Like I said, that's got to. That's got to play into it just a little bit, man. Like I said, I mean, the kids out there, and it's not trying to make this personal, but look, dude, the kids that are growing up in today's day and age. I'm going to say this, Chris, and I'll give this to you, right? The kids that are growing up out there on the West Coast right now, probably not as tough, right, as those, early 2000s and and earlier kids from Texas. I'll give you that.
Probably.
Crypto says just because from California. No, it's not just because he's from California. I'm just saying it. Really, you could eliminate California. It's really any high profile kid that gets recruited today. It's just more or less in today's day and age. I'm just saying. That's the big thing, man. Look, dude. You're getting fired up over there, man. Do we need to get you some heart palpitations over there? Some heart medications?
Dude, I'm gonna calm down now. I respect your opinion. That's why I love talking to you. I'm glad that other people have different views than I do. 100%. I do. That's what makes the world go round. If you all had the same view about everybody, it'd be a boring freaking day. I just don't know what the hell you're talking about right now. I really don't. I don't know what world that you think JT Daniels is somehow better than Matt Stafford. Matt Stafford to me was a guy. He was a high school. He's one of the top best high school players ever. No, stop.
I'm not gonna listen. I'm not gonna stop because here's what you want to know, right? I was trying to give you the easy way out of here.
Stat to skew it and make it look like he was better.
It's not a stat. Okay, he's the number. JT Daniels was the number 2 quarterback out of his class, number 6 player nationally, right? Stafford, you're absolutely right. He was the number 1 quarterback in his class. He was a top 10 prospect coming out of high school, right? So I'm just saying, right? Like they're close enough. Put them in whatever era you want to put them in, dude. It would have been a battle, right?
Listen here. You hear me?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can hear you.
I want you to listen good, Christian. Are you listening?
Yeah.
How do you base somebody's career? How do you base it? Even if, let's say we're talking NBA. Got the number 1 overall pick in LeBron James. Number 3 was Dwayne Wade. How do you base somebody's career? Off of what they've done, right? You're talking about a number 1 overrated. Overrated. Number 1 overall recruit was Matt Stafford by far that year. But by it wasn't even close. He was the best player in high school that year. He's got the biggest arms as John Elway. All these guys.
Yeah.
You're trying to tell me, JT Daniels, he was the 3rd best quarterback. Okay, great. And that's fine. I'm not saying that.
Second best.
It doesn't matter. How has his career been? This guy hasn't even made it out of college yet.
Dude,
Are you kidding me? All right. Are we talking about this right now?
Yes, because listen, I'm going to tell you why we're talking about this. Because remember, I remember. No. I remember what started this whole argument, okay? I remember what started this whole argument. If Matthew Stafford played today under Kirby Smart, just listen to me. Just listen to me. Kirby's track record with 5-star quarterbacks, including JT Daniels, has not been all that great. So if you would have put Stafford in there and Stafford would have gotten hurt, JT Daniels, it could just as easily go the other way around. Well, that's how we have to base this.
Well, why did he keep Justin Fields? How about that? How did he turn out at Ohio State? You guys are probably.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Justin Fields left because he was getting beat out by a 4-star in Aaron Murray. Or not Aaron Murray, but in Jake Fromm.
How did Jake Fromm turn out?
Well,
what are we talking about? Like, are you like? I wonder. I love you, Christian. I've known you for a lot of years. Like, I wonder with you Southern people, like, if you guys. I'm not trying to make this like a regional thing, but like, what the fuck are you talking about?
You know what? I know what it is, Chris. You're one of those guys that says, man, there's something. Yeah, you're one of those guys that says, man, there's something about that old 78 Cutlass, man. It just looks good. You know what I mean? You can't let alone you couldn't even be seen to think that, hey, maybe the new Mustang is probably pretty good too, right? And maybe the new Mustang could put that old Cutlass to shame. Now, I'm not trying to say anything bad against everybody that's old. I've already prefaced this argument with saying, hey, there's people that come around that are once in generational talents. And I do agree with you. Stafford was a once-in-a-generation talent. But you also have to look at it, right? When Stafford was coming out of high school, kids weren't throwing the ball 800 times a season.
They weren't. They were. This was just before. This is not Dan Marino or John Elway or even Andrew Luck we're talking about. What the hell are you talking about? Matt Stafford was the man in high school. Trust me, I remember. He's not that much younger than I am. Like, what the hell are you talking about? You're trying to tell me JT Daniels, who was super hyped up and social media, now the internet's a freaking thing. That's why we're doing this. Like, what the hell are you talking about? This guy, JT Daniels can't find a home, Christian. There's a reason for that. It wasn't just he swapped over to another team, which is super common these days. He swapped over to like 5. Nobody wants him. He's washed up. He sucks. He's not Matt Stafford. I can't believe you put him and Matt Stafford in the same sentence. Like, literally just floors me. I actually think now I put you lower on my credibility list that you don't know what the hell you're talking about college football. And I'm bragging up a Georgia guy. I'm bragging up your boy, Matt Stafford. I hate talking about the SEC. Everybody knows this.
Hey, Chris.
He's the best. He's one of the best quarterbacks ever come out of the SEC.
Hey, Chris.
What are you talking about?
You fell into the trap, son. That's what you did. You fell into the trap.
Fuck it, man. I don't even care. I'll drink another beer tonight. Good show, though. Is this live?
It's still live.
Oh, well, shit. I guess we'll have to post this and arguments about Matt Stafford. You know what? I'm going to post this myself. I got it recorded. I'm going to post this shit myself. This guy says that JT Daniels is better than Matt Stafford. This will catch worldwide news.
Guys, this is this is the point of the show where I think we are going to end it tonight, right? Chris obviously has his stance on this. I have my stance on it. Again, take it with a grain of salt, right? Obviously, we know how this is all played out. We don't know what's going to happen with JT Daniels. I'm not saying, hey, he's going to go on at Rice and win a national championship and go on and be a...
Say it. Just say it.
I'm not saying that, dude. I'm not saying that.
Better than Matt Stafford.
I'm not saying that he's better than Stafford, right?
I didn't even think about it. It's crazy.
I'm just, listen, Chris, you know what I've said. You can go back and watch this clipped out segment here. You can go back and watch it, right? I'm not saying he's better. I'm just saying it would be a very interesting topic if they played at the same time, right? They were both very highly ranked guys.
So you're like, if I drop Pat Mahomes back in the 70s with somebody, come on, man.
Dude, he would fuck those 70s teams up, man. And I'm not even trying to, I'm not even trying to do that, but I mean, okay. You know what? We'll save this for another one. Terry Bradshaw versus Pat Mahomes, dude.
I'm just at a loss here. I can't.
Yeah. I left you speechless, son. I think this is good.
I know. I can't believe people actually watch the show. It's actually unwatchable at times. Love you guys. I'm out. Peace.